Okay. Now let's see if we've got some sound. It looks like. Yep, it looks like the microphone is
Okay, my cord was just a touch loose in the back of the mic.
Yeah.
Now you can hear me cough.
Yes. Welcome. We'll try this
We'll have
again.
to start all over the place.
Yes. Happy thanks. Several days after Thanksgiving. As you see, there was a reason we canceled the last live stream for obvious reasons. Still no audio there, Belzar says. Somebody said its audio's working. Oh.
Well, our microphone is clearly responding. So
Yes.
if you don't hear us, it's probably on your end.
Well, it's hopefully on your end. Happy turkey time. Yes, happy post-turkey time. Oh, good. You can hear now. Good. Yeah. Yeah, and you're going to hear the cough too.
I've been reading Kafka lately.
Yeah, really. So, at any rate, we wanted to put on this live stream to tell you how happy and thankful we are for all of you and for all of our fans everywhere. Yeah,
But I was going to say I had a cup of coffee.
I see. You hadn't quite gotten out.
No, I didn't
finish.
hadn't finished coughing.
Okay.
So, welcome. Thank you.
Yes.
We're really glad you're here.
We had a limited Thanksgiving this Thanksgiving. That meant we only had a turkey breast.
It was delicious.
Yes, it actually was. I was surprised very well.
I'm wearing this shirt in honor of my second favorite Thanksgiving food, cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
I like the jelly kind. Never really appreciated the textured kind.
Yeah. Yes, he doesn't like the real stuff. It's got to be the fake stuff.
Yep.
So,
Ocean spray, jellied cranberry sauce.
And let's see, we had apple pecan dressing. We had, the dressing is mostly, poyese bread with some...
Except you didn't have any poyese, so use como.
Como's pretty close. It's really close. I mean, they're almost interchangeable. And
Lori went to the store to buy me some cough lozenges and said that the cough and cold section of the grocery store was decimated.
It was more than decimated, since that's only 10%. It was more like 80% gone.
80% gone.
And the ones that were there, like the vitamin C pills and things like that. So yeah, it's gone around, and it went around, and we caught it, and we never got rid of it. Is the problem with us?
Now we're in San Diego County, and that apparently has been one of the hotbeds on the West Coast.
Yes, but we probably got it from seeing
From the cruise ship and seeing our son and grandson, who was sick just before the trip.
Of course. So yes, babies and children are vectors. Yes. Hello, Highberry. What's hope things are going well for you. Feel better, Coles. We'll try. Believe me, we've been doing our best. So yes, we had a fine Thanksgiving. The food was good. Everything turned out well. The garlic mashed potatoes with, this time I did brown butter and garlic, and then a lot more butter than I normally put in it. But according to some recipes,
could have used a little more butter.
Yeah, it could have used more, and that's like, okay. I prefer potato with butter rather than the butter with the potato. But
I don't understand that attitude.
Yeah. And I made a pumpkin pie that turned out really
well. Which was delicious, yeah.
I
used to love the cheap pumpkin pies from Costco, and they are a bargain. I mean, it's like $8 for a gigantic pie that will serve, like 15 people. But I started getting heartburn every time I ate one, so I decided it was too much spice or something, possibly the cloves.
Could be. This time I put, because I didn't have cloves, and I put in garam masala and an extra egg, because I prefer my pumpkin pie a little more custardy.
Big fans of custard.
Yes. And so, yes, we had a fine Thanksgiving, and mostly we're trying to get by, trying to survive.
I think we're doing pretty well, except for getting sick.
Yeah, other than that. And yes, sometimes food is a delivery for butter. Yes, exactly.
I used to get the baked potatoes, and I would slather on huge amounts of butter, and then sour cream, and then chives, and bacon bits, and it's like, where's the potato? But that was perfectly fine with me because I liked all those things.
Yeah. It's a perfectly good way of eating potato because potato's kind of dull.
Yeah. I tend not to put in as much sour cream as I used to.
Oh, well. So,
But butter's important.
At any rate, the real reason, yes, again, the food is all we think about at Thanksgiving anymore, but we really
Food
do.
and family used to be the keynotes for
Yes.
Thanksgiving. My family, every year at Thanksgiving, we would gather together the extended family from like 4 or 5 states to all come visit us, and we'd open up all the leaves on the dining table, and we'd get like 20 family members in there. Sometimes we'd do I guess 4th of July we did a backyard picnic thing too, so those were the 2 big get-togethers of the year. So Christmas was for the nuclear family, immediate, parents and kids, but Thanksgiving was the time for the extended family to all get together once a year.
We didn't have that. We were kind of isolated. Our families were scattered across the country, but we always had a big meal on Thanksgiving. That had everything. And then later on, when Corey and I were together, and we just started out, we would go up to my aunt in San Francisco when we were living in the Bay Area, and we would
Aunt
have
Nora.
Aunt Nora, and she would always have friends in. So she always had a Friendsgiving type of thing that now people celebrate. My son celebrates that, and I think it's an awesome idea. When we were over in Oakhurst all by ourselves, we would have a
D&D weekend.
D&D weekend, and everybody'd come over, and we'd have a big...
For all our orphan friends that didn't have families to celebrate Thanksgiving with.
or even they did.
They
They
do with
come
us.
in on Friday after their Thanksgiving
Sunday.
meal.
I learned 2 important things from Nora. One is the amazingness of homemade hand-whipped cream as opposed to the canned stuff. And, man, it took me forever and ever and ever to whip it up. It was so good.
Think of a warm apartment and trying to whip cream. It does take forever.
And it works better now in the cooler environments we tend to be in. And ambrosia, which Lori was familiar with, but I had never had before.
Yeah, that ambrosia is, it used to be just a can of fruit and whipped cream and coconut is the key for that, yes. But yes, homemade whipped cream is much better than Cool Whip. I've never used Cool Whip. We've always used the canned stuff. Cool Whip was something you used. You used to mix up with Jell-O to make a whipped Jell-O dessert. So yes, I lived in the era of whipped Jell-O desserts.
Whereas Cool Whip never existed for my family.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people that swear by Cool Whip, and I've had it, and it's actually not that bad. But I've used the the canned aerosol whipped cream. Aerosol isn't the right term, but the compressed, and then every once in a while the homemade.
Thank you, Datavar, for subscribing to
Yay, Tier 1 for 35 months. Next month that'll be 3 years.
Oh boy. Yeah.
That's a lot of months.
I was reading the other day of how Jell-O, which once was the dessert, it was a treat and a wonderful thing, is now relegated to something you only get in hospitals and.
Yeah, we always had Jell-O for dessert at home, or often.
We would, and the specialty
or Jell-O pudding if it wasn't the actual Jell-O gelatin.
We never had the Jell-O pudding.
Yeah, we had
if
Jell-O.
we had pudding, we had the real stuff.
We had chocolate or butterscotch or vanilla pudding, and. One time, I was invited over to a friend's house. This was in elementary school. I must have been about 10. And went over to his house. This is when we were living in Pennsylvania. And his mother made tapioca on the stove. And I have no idea whether she just dumped in a package or if it was actually done from scratch. But that was amazing. Homemade tapioca that, just fresh heated. And so... I have a lifelong love for tapioca just from that one occurrence, that one event.
Favorite Jell-O flavor? Red. I mean, red, you could say. That was the universal color. If it was red, it probably tasted good. And that includes things like lollipops and Tootsie Roll Pops. And
cherry, raspberry, strawberry.
Yeah.
Although raspberry was sometimes blue.
No, they started to do that.
Food coloring,
yeah, because they, wanted to differentiate it from Strawberry.
I liked green Jello too.
I couldn't stand green Jello. No green.
But red was the best.
Green was the worst. But well, green in general was the worst. Green jelly beans, ooh. But then I wasn't a black jelly bean fan either.
Yeah, Lori and I are pretty compatible because I eat the black jelly beans and the green M&Ms and I don't remember. What are your favorite M&M colors?
My favorite M&M colors was tan.
Which I found boring.
Most of you people probably don't remember when M&Ms had tan, brown, and red. And my brothers would have my brother had the green, the yellow, and the orange.
Ah.
So, yes, we would divide out.
And I'm closer to her brother, although I like red as well.
It's M&M, it doesn't taste, it doesn't have.
All right, how do you pronounce strawberry?
Strawberry.
Strawberry. That's sort of like highberry or... if green is either lime or apple, I like lime. I'm not that fond of apple-flavored candies.
Yeah, I don't mind apple flavor, but I don't.
I like apples, but I'm not fond of apple-flavored
candy.
candy.
I miss the tan M&Ms. I liked the tan M&Ms. They were a nice, soothing color.
So I guess we're talking about the elderberry pie.
Oh.
Elderberry pie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I learned very close distinctions between the vowels growing up in Pennsylvania, that you got married, your friend was Mary, you had a merry good time, and those were all three very, I don't know if I still do that, but back then those were three completely different pronunciations to me. And then Lori said all of them exactly the same, and didn't understand, couldn't hear me say them differently.
And Mary. Yeah. I mean, they didn't actually have a...
quite contrary.
Yes.
As opposed to quite contrary.
Or pin. You picked up your pin.
Yeah, see, I had never heard that until I moved to Los Angeles to go to high school for my final year, just coming back from Germany, and met someone, and he asked if he could borrow a pin. And I was like, I don't carry pins around, and finally, he pointed at my pen in my pocket and said, "Let me borrow your pin." And I said, "Oh, okay," and I took out my notebook afterwards and wrote down regional pronunciation, Panic was pin. And then I discovered he was from Washington, D.C., and that was not at all a California pronunciation. Lori grew up in West Virginia initially, before she moved to Arizona, so she probably picked up a little bit of that.
West Virginia, then Virginia. I mean,
okay.
It's hard to say which one was the most... I'm not sure. I guess I was 4 when we moved from West Virginia to Virginia.
Ah.
But 5 and...
And I was about 3 or 4 when I moved from San Fernando Valley to Virginia.
Yes.
We had some amazing coincidences really in our family. Both of our parents worked for a company called Melpar. It was a defense contractor in Northern Virginia.
Yep.
And about 1 year apart.
Yes. Thought you had to be lifelong Californians to work for Sierra.
Nah.
Yeah, it wasn't on the resume.
Bob Heitman was the heart and soul of the engineering department, and he went to University of Michigan. And I'm not sure, I don't know where he was from originally.
Well, he officially went to Santa Barbara, so he was,
Yeah, I actually...
He was California.
My college was UC Santa Barbara, University of California, Santa Barbara.
He was born in California, and...
Yeah, I was born in California, lived here till I was like 3 or 4, moved to Virginia, then Abington, Pennsylvania, near Philadelphia. Then I spent a year as an exchange student in Germany, and came back to California, senior year of high school, went to college in California, worked in Vancouver and Toronto, came back to LA and worked in Los Angeles and New York and Minnesota, and came back to LA.
CT times CB says, pretty sure this was the case. I was told when researching Chainsaw Monday that within weeks of happening, 80% of the employees had already ditched Oakhurst.
Really?
Lots of people did not, they didn't enjoy being isolated up in a small mountain town with not a lot of social life going on.
Yeah, Oakhurst was a great place to live if you were, settled with a family, had children. They would go to the schools here, everything was fine. But if you were a young single person, if you were in your 20s, wasn't much of a social life to be had up there.
Yeah, you what do you do?
And there weren't many other job opportunities. You either went
There
to
was no job. I mean,
post Sierra, you went to work for the telephone company, or you left.
And yes, exactly. So there was no choice.
Or the grocery store.
Well, that doesn't count. And mostly the people from Sierra did not move into the grocery stores business. So, yes.
But a lot of them went to Sierra Telephone and helped start STI Internet.
Yes.
Sierra Internet.
So, yes, there were one place to go if when Sierra died. But you never know. But we are very thankful to Ken Williams that we got our jobs at Sierra, because who else is going to hire two people that had no gaming experience on the computer? Yes.
We had a computer experience, so we had game experience,
yes.
And he was able to say, "Okay, you can put those two together."
Right, and at this point in time, there weren't that many people that could say elsewise.
I didn't realize it as much at the time, but Ken was really big into trusting people to do their jobs and to say what they said they could do, to do what they said they could do. So basically, we said we knew about role-playing games and we knew something about computers, and he said, "Fine, go do it." And that is not a common attitude.
Microsoft must have had a field day when Chainsaw Monday happened. Most of the ex-developers and ex-senior people I know moved on to working for Microsoft in Redmond, Washington.
Yeah, that would particularly be the people that had already moved up with Sierra to the Bellevue branch of Sierra.
Well, which one is Chainsaw Monday? Is that the later one?
That was the last one, yeah.
Okay. As opposed to the one where we were all called.
There were like 3 major layoffs at Sierra.
Well, yes, the one we were in was the one that everybody was invited to the movie theater and given envelopes.
That met Cinnamon and Oakhurst. And prior to that, before we got there, there had been a similar event in the mid-'80s in which they called everyone to an all-hands meeting at I forget the name of the movie theater, the Pines movie theater in Bass Lake. And basically they called an all-hands meeting. The company was really laissez-faire and relaxed then, and people didn't do meetings and stuff a lot. But what Ken Williams did is he went around privately to all of his top people and said, "Be at that meeting." And basically, they started the meeting. This is all hearsay, of course, from people that were working there at the time, such as Heitman. But basically, Ken said, "Well, congratulations, everyone here. You still have a job. The rest of the people don't." And he cut the company in half that way. By people who didn't show up for the meeting, didn't work for Sierra anymore. So that was the big video game collapse as a result of they were in the business of making cartridges for the Atari VCS. And when the E.T. game was a massive failure and other factors going on, that market died overnight. And the problem with making games for cartridges is that you had a physical stock of the cartridge base cost you about $10 each. And so you had a warehouse full of these cartridges. And when the market disappeared overnight, you basically had to throw away all the cartridges.
Yep.
And Sierra lost millions of dollars and declared bankruptcy, and kept just a few people, such as Al Lowe. And Ken made an offer to his designers and developers and said, if you want to work on your own on spec and make games, great. I'll give you a share of the profits from it. If it actually makes it to market, but we can't pay you. And Al Lowe was one of the few who said, "Okay, I can do that." And he developed several games for Sierra at the time, and ended up becoming, the Sierra hero effectively, and did very well for himself and got much better deals than people who came after and didn't work so hard.
Chainsaw Monday, when
Sorry.
When Sierra moved up to Belmont and Bellevue and up there, they left part of the division down there, and then eventually they decided they didn't want that anymore, and so they kind of spun it off as its own company, and we became Yosemite Entertainment.
Yep.
But
I was with Craig Alexander as the general manager.
Yeah, general manager
and president.
He was the president at that point. And Well, what happened was when after Quest for Glory 5 released, which another thing we're very thankful that the fates aligned and everything else to do Quest for Glory 5, because that was a miracle.
And the fans aligned.
And the fans aligned.
Massive letter writing campaign to Sierra saying, you got to do this, got to finish the series. Quest for Glory 4 ended on a cliffhanger.
Yep. And so therefore we got to do 5, and then just as we finished, they had been trying to sell that division and trying to find a buyer to take over Yosemite Entertainment, but that was at the collapse of the great 80s, 90s buying spree where everybody was gobbling up companies, and we were too late.
We sort of did. Okay, so a British company called Codemasters moved into the building and took over from Yosemite Entertainment and hired a lot of the Sierra developers. And they made a few games out of there that were, either from licenses they had, or I think they did some film licenses also.
I didn't think Codemasters moved into the building.
Yeah, they did. They owned that building for a while. I have chewable vitamin C. We used zinc a long time ago, and at least in the form I had, it was so disgusting, it just made me sick.
Yes.
Lori got me some Hall's Defense with vitamin C, and as you can see, that bag is largely unopened.
Yeah.
I do have chewable vitamin C. I used to think it was amazing. I was a big Linus Pauling fan, and he was a fan of, mega doses of vitamin C, and I don't think it really does much for me.
Well, we will see.
Where was I?
The Chainsaw.
Codemasters.
Codemasters.
And they eventually, I guess, got in financial trouble and moved out, and STI is the Sierra Tel, actually the phone company, took over the building.
Yep.
Which was more or less across the street. It was a block away from their main office, so it made sense.
Yep. And they took it all over, and they opened up their internet division, which is where we all got our internet from.
And I think they tried to do games and didn't get very far with them.
Yes, they were starting a game division to begin with, and but it didn't last. Yes. Quest for Glory 5 was serendipitous. I was just getting into all the games I grew up with and bought the Quest for Glory anthology. I just bought it because I'd played Quest for Glory 1 a little as a kid, but was more crazy about it than any other titles, being too young for it then. Fell in love with it that summer, and then Quest for Glory 5 released in the winter of the following year, so I got to experience the game somewhat seamlessly. Great. That's the right way to have to do it. Thank you, Jacobine, for subscribing. You've subscribed for 4 months, and happy late Thanksgiving. Yes, yes, yes. Hi from Valiant Cheese. I hope everyone is safe and well as 2022 starts to wind down. Yes, it is. It's starting to wind down, and we're coming up to the end of the year. And it's been a long year of many, many things that have happened this year. All right, there you go. Codemasters.
So this is Codemasters on Moby Games. If you haven't seen the MobyGames.com site, they're a great place to find history and lists of games and game reviews and so on for classic and I think modern games as well. So Codemasters Yosemite was a U.S. development studio founded in August 10th, 1999, coincidentally, like less than 6 months after Yosemite Entertainment shut down.
Did we publish 5 in 98?
It came out in December of 98.
Oh, I thought it was 99.
Nope, came out in 98.
Okay. Okay.
And
it was owned by a British Codemasters.
Yeah, it was owned by Codemasters in the UK. They announced they'd acquired Yosemite Entertainment's Seals. It was in development in 2000. It was an Unreal adaptation of the Rogue Warrior books as well as The Realm. The Realm was an interesting beast. So The Realm was Sierra's massively multiplayer role-playing game. It was started by Dave Slayback and who was the other guy? Wasn't Rob? Can't remember his name. Anyway, 2 developers for Sierra who basically were evenings and weekends working on this project and convinced Sierra to buy off on. And before there was Ultima Online or EverQuest or any of those, there was The Realm.
Yes, and the realm is the reason why we got to do Quest for Glory 5.
Yeah, we were called back in to say, hey, the realm needs more content. We want to rebrand it as World of Quest for Glory. And, have you guys write quests for it.
Was the realm before or after Shadow of Eusebius? I'm pretty sure it must have been after.
I think it was in parallel.
Yeah, parallel, but I think the realm actually came out after it. It was after Sierra sold INN to AT&T.
Okay, the realm is listed as May 1997. Yeah, that's probably right. And Shadows of Eusebius.
Yes, so was the
Shadow
realm
of Eusebius.
a graphical mud?
Okay, Eusebius was 93 for DOS.
Okay.
Now DOS, so... Okay, here's the games in the group. Shadow of Eusebius series, 93 to 95. So, Eusebius, then Twinian, then Cawdor. Our friend
Cawdor was the last one? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
our friend Richard Aronson wrote Ruins of Cawdor, and it's all based on Shakespeare references.
And it was designed were they all designed for the INN?
For the Realm, yeah, for Imagination Network, which is, the Realm was rebranded as Imagination Network, INN, and was later taken over by AT&T, was sold to AT&T. And many people from INN were very bitter about the AT&T takeover because basically they wanted to get the server technology from them, and then they stripped the rest of it and threw it all away. I see Shadow of the Series got 3.77 on Moby Games, and Ruins of Cawdor got 4.7. That's an amazing rating. I think it's on a 1 to 5 scale rather than 1 to 10. It's developed by Ibarra Productions, but designed by Richard Aronson, our friend.
It's interesting, developed by Ibarra.
Yeah, because I don't think they had a lot to do with it.
No.
Designed by Richard Aronson, art direction Gloria Garland, a friend of ours, John Buck's wife.
Produced by Gano Hain,
who was our producer. Yes, she did co-wrote EcoQuest with Jane Jensen.
Yep.
And was a good friend of ours. Chris Donahue, we kind of knew, and Bill Mortimer, we kind of knew, but weren't close with.
Yeah.
Victor Grippi, I think I met Victor, but I didn't really know him.
Yes, the Moby Games article is misleading. It's referring to the offline version. Eusebius on the TSN was actually released in 91. Okay.
No, they say 95 here. Okay, so, really? Oh, Eusebius was 91.
Yes.
Whereas they list as 93. But either way, they're both before the Realm.
Yes. All right. I distinctly remember bringing my Quest for Glory 5 box into my junior high year and being told I would get suspended if I came back late again because I had taken too long going to the game store to buy it. And
Yes.
I know my junior year was 99 to 2000 because I remember going to the New Year's celebration for the millennium, and I graduated in 2001.
Oh, what a great time to graduate.
But
Just before all hell broke loose.
yeah, really. Well, yeah, it
Yeah,
is.
it would have been
just
June
before.
2001, and
Yeah.
there was September 2001
Wow,
was the
yeah.
11. Yeah,
There are a lot of great moments not to have actually succeeded in something. You know.
I mean, I remember the 9/11 2001 is so traumatic an event that we'd been through Vietnam and everything else, but nothing compared with the chaos and the horror following 9/11.
Yep.
The world changed. The world changed that day.
Hello, Cole, Rich Gen X. Hope you had a fine Thanksgiving and glad you two are both better. Well, that remains to be seen.
Yeah, I think I'm a little better. I'm sort of. I'm
he's
talking.
There were days when he could not talk because he.
Yeah, we canceled last week
Yes.
again because I couldn't even talk.
Yeah, so therefore it was. It's not as bad as what AOL did to INN. Yes, they bought it and closed it less than. Yes, exactly. That's where we're.
Was it AOL or was it AT&T?
Huh? It was AOL. Yes, AOL.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That there's talk they did it to reduce the competition versus the gold box Neverwinter Nights. Yeah, the truth was they didn't want it.
They wouldn't want to spend the money to
Right.
maintain it. I mean, it's very expensive. The problem with Imagination Network was a great idea. Ken Williams came up with this idea. Started out, the original title was The Constant Companion, and he was inspired to make it because his grandmother loved to play bridge, and he wanted to be able to play bridge with his grandmother, and there was no online bridge sites. So they came up with this site that was just going to be card games and stuff, and mostly oriented at old people to be able to connect them to younger people. So that was the origin of, went from Constant Companion to Sierra Network to Imagination Network, and it was kind of cool. So Richard got involved because he and I were bridge partners, and he knew something about programming and knew how to play bridge.
Yep.
And then eventually got the opportunity to do a role-playing game because he was also
Yay, thank you, Schumann.
a game master that I introduced to D&D, but he became much more of a game master than me afterwards. Mm-hmm. He ran constantly, whereas I was occasional.
The pre-9/11 world was one I prefer. Yes, grew up mostly in Miss. It sure did. Corey, not for the best. Exactly. Honey Boo Boo. Yes, exactly. 9/11 had an incredible impact. For all of you that are too young to know, it altered the world entirely.
Although we're also learning that there were things earlier that were, have bitten us today.
Right.
The whole Reaganomics thing. I mean, Reagan was the great conservative hero, but looking back at it in hindsight, the tax laws that he and conservative Congress signed in really massively increased inequality in the U.S. and responsible for a lot of the health care declines and so on. Since I was just reading this article on the Hartman Report, which I like, THOM, Tom Hartman, and he has life expectancy versus health expenditure, and here's the U.S. is this red line with the, basically our healthcare costs are almost double all the other major countries, and our life expectancy had been right up with or ahead of them, but as ours gradually increased, theirs massively increased. So essentially, that all came down to deregulation of healthcare, where everything was, publicly owned nonprofit prior to that. Life expectancy throughout the U.S., the blue states in the West and the Northeast, and I think that's Wisconsin. People live into their 80s, and the southern and central states, people die in their, early 70s.
So, yes.
So basically, a lot of things happened that were behind the scenes that were not as obvious as the Vietnam War or 9/11 or, invasion of Ukraine, but had devastating long-term consequences to a lot of people. So it's funny, the conservatives want the rest of the country to be like them, and there's some reason why the liberals don't want that.
Yeah, you can't see that maybe. Average age of death?
Yeah, the top of this, the blue areas goes up to 86.8 life expectancy. The red areas, 66.8. There's a 20-year discrepancy between counties with the longest life expectancy, and those are the shortest.
20 years is significant, boy. Yes.
And to a large extent, all that red is in conservative, Republican-dominated states.
Yeah, well, look at Florida. Yeah. Florida got the...
Florida does pretty well.
End, yeah. All the...
of course,
all the wealthy people living down in the tail end, yes.
It's also the fact that people retire to Florida for the climate. And so if you're already in your 70s by the time you move down there, you're probably not going to die in your 60s.
That's true, yes. that has a impact on it, too. So, yes, not just healthcare, but education, too, yes.
Climate, environment, there's other factors. It's not all...
Reagan administration was scared of an educated proletariat, yes, and then...
Yeah, maybe.
The other things, it was. They said that.
Spiro T. Agnew, Nixon's vice president,
was just as bad.
Had the famous line about, what was it now? It's,
the elite, elite snobs.
Effete intellectual snobs.
And, yeah, there it is. Yes, there were a lot of people that didn't like it.
I used to have a button that read, I am an effete snob for peace.
Yes. Ignorant, stupid people are easier to fool and manipulate. Yes. Exactly.
Oh, that was the one I didn't quite want to wake you up at 2 a.m., but last night when I went down the Quora rabbit hole, as I sometimes do, came across an article that was answering the question, why do 50 million Americans still believe that the 2020 elections were fraudulent, that the election was stolen? And it said, well, for one thing, 54 million people in the U.S. Have less than 6th grade level reading ability.
Okay.
Now, I would say that doesn't quite account for all 50 million, because I'm sure a lot of those are liberal Democrats that are not well educated. But it's basically people that, cannot read and have critical thinking skills, just accept what they're told on media or on television.
Or not.
Or they just vote the way their family's always voted.
Yeah, or they don't, but yeah.
So that they don't think. And, it's not that everyone conservative is stupid. I don't believe that. I used to be libertarian. I used to be pretty conservative and, socially liberal and fiscally conservative. And then I realized that, no, that was all a lie. That the so-called fiscal conservatism was basically just, greed and maintaining power structures so people had the wealth would keep it forever.
Yeah.
And it's not, and I don't mind that. I don't mind trying to get rich, but the problem is it hurts the country as a whole. It hurts the quality of life for everybody, including those entitled rich people. They live a lot longer than poor people, but they don't do as well as they would if, overall public health was better.
You came at it from a place of love, though. Many libertarians believe that makes people better off. That they're wrong, but motive matters. Yeah, I know. I was a libertarian for years because at that point you couldn't tell the Democrats from the Republicans. They both...
Some people still say that. It's not true.
Yeah. Good evening, all. Yeah, we don't need to make this. This is not supposed to be a politics episode because, honestly, politics suck.
Actually, I've just added a Politics Plus channel to our Discord so that people can rant about political things.
You may be free to rant there because that's what it's for.
And we do have some very conservative people in there, and we have some very liberal people. And Lori and I are probably at this point about 85% on the liberal side.
Yeah.
So, we still, we still believe in entrepreneurship and trying to, earn a living and do good work and so on. But it's no longer the be all and end all.
Yes, we're not communists. Let's put it this way.
It's kind of the phases of life thing. Used to be.
We're realists, I guess you'd say, in our terms of our things.
Yeah, I quoted the thing. I think it was Will Rogers who always quoted as saying that a conservative young person has no heart and a liberal old person has no brain. And that's true in the sense that by the time you get older, you've usually accumulated a lot of assets and you don't want to give them away. But other than that, it's just not true. And we've actually gone through the phase where, we've been richer, we've been poorer, and we kind of just want to have enough to live a comfortable life. And we recognize that very few people, probably around the world, certainly in America, actually feel comfortable with what they have. Most people think that they're struggling.
Most people are struggling, really.
And it's kind of weird that someone making $100,000 a year might think they're struggling just as much as somebody making $10,000 a year.
It is. It's weird.
But
Everybody is dealt a different set of cards in life, and everybody tries to play them the best they can to try to get through.
Yeah, most of us aren't very good card players.
That's the other problem. Yes. At any rate, to come back to our theme, which we're...
we have a theme? Oh, thank you!
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you for going back to the theme, yes.
Yes, exactly. We do want to
get rid of life expectancy.
Yes. I've been basically there my whole life, thankfully. That's great, yes.
With life expectancy?
Yeah. It's hard for a lot of people to internalize the idea that others might be struggling even more. Yeah, and it's weird because you see people struggling all their lives, and I don't care who you are or where you're from. Everybody struggles with life. It's just what you do.
Going to work for Sierra was definitely a struggle because we were way underpaid compared to the rest of the software industry, and had a young child. The cost of living in Oakhurst was not as low as they led us to believe. It was basically, how do you get along? And meanwhile, we're trying to be, creative and brilliant and make games that people will love.
Even in the 80s, they were saying that you could have children, you could have a house, or you could have a life, effectively, was what they were saying.
Leisure, yeah.
Leisure. And you have to choose for your future, because you could not afford a house and have kids.
And that's still true today.
And that's certainly true today.
Our son is very well off, works at a great job. He's a marketing vice president, makes a good living. But he said, we're never going to own a house. He's renting an apartment in Oakland and says it is impossible for us ever to afford a house. We offered him our one in Oakhurst. He said, no, that doesn't count.
Yeah.
So
We tried, yes.
They're in their mid-30s and just finally had their first child at 35. So really had to put things off. And, and they're very well off compared to most people.
Yeah.
So I never understood families with 6 children and stuff like that. How they possibly do it.
Yeah. Let's see. I assume people who are rich also have a lot of expenses that could change their fortunes with bad luck. It is true. Most people are living on a knife edge. Their house mortgages, if they have houses, are too high to be able to afford. They're barely getting by.
We technically have negative income.
Yes.
When I do my tax returns, or my accountant creatively does our tax returns for us, it shows us as spending more than we earn. And that's because of the massive amount of money we're pouring into Transor Games.
Yes.
But a lot of much wealthier people than us actually have negative incomes.
Mm-hmm. Seriously. Hero says, where did you meet the game developers from other companies? We always met once a year at the computer game.
Yeah, the GDC, Game Developer Conference.
And it was the big conference at that time. It was awesome. Ken Williams said, don't go to it, but we did anyway. Ken Williams didn't want everybody sharing the information like he did. So therefore, he didn't want people to go there because he thought we would, basically let everybody know, or we would find jobs at different companies.
Roadworks Gaming says, these Sierra stories sound so exploitative. Yikes. Yes and no. Sierra was an absolute roller coaster ride. The highs were unbelievably high. The going down was terrifying. And coming back up after you survive that was amazing. We worked with wonderful creative people. We got to make games that we never would have been able to do most other places. Lori got respect because Roberta Williams was, the heart of the company at that point. And so they understood the concept of a woman game designer.
So yeah, we couldn't have done this anywhere else, honestly.
And we got to do some really cool stuff. And otherwise I'd have been a business, or a systems programmer my whole life. Otherwise,
probably not, because you couldn't stand it. And the reason we took this opportunity, even though it meant a huge pay cut, was because we were in the Bay Area and Corey's asthma was starting to get.
Yeah, so I had to get out of San Jose. Couldn't live there.
We had to find some place to go. And when we saw where Sierra was located, it's like, this is exactly what I was looking for, a place, even though we couldn't afford it.
As Dionne Warwick, I think, did Do You Know the Way to San Jose? And that song's all about how, the air is clean in San Jose. It's not like, LA's a great big freeway, put 100 down, buy a car. I want to go back to San Jose, but by the time we moved up to San Jose, it was LA.
Yeah.
But when I lived in LA in the 70s, it was awful. There were radio things that said basically you can tell what part of LA you're in by the color of the smog in the air.
Yes, that was literally, you'd see this layer of brown.
Yeah, when you drove into the city.
So there are some changes that have been good.
And they have massively cleaned up the air there and in the Bay Area.
So there were a lot of laws that went in place to try to clean up the air and make places better, and it's a lot better, believe me. Difficulties don't always manifest along a single axis. I can't afford to eat every day. Geez.
Yikes.
And that has made things tougher than a lot of people experience. But I also own my own house, and that makes the other aspects of living a lot easier. than a lot of people.
And
Yes.
you might be less fat than a lot of us eat all together too well, and that could be better for your health care.
Yes, your long-term health, yes. But, then you have to... I'm not sure that owning a house is cost-effective at this point in time, but
Depends where you are.
It has a security measure that,
It's nice to know that you're going to be able to stay there for a while. Until, of course, Sierra closed down, and all of a sudden we're stuck up here in Oakhurst, California.
Yes, fortunately, with Valiant Cheese, we're in an industry that you can actually work away.
Yeah, he works from home, so yay.
Yeah.
Cosmic Void 3 is currently reading Stephen Levy's Hackers. Yes. When I started to work at Sierra, the first thing they did is someone there told me, go read Hackers. And it was the story of the early days at Sierra. It talked about, it had about a third of the book was devoted to Ken and Roberta Williams, and she was a major contributor to it. And it's all about the wild and crazy stuff they did there, like renting half the apartments in Oakhurst and putting up their interns and their programmers and clustered in these group apartments all around Oakhurst. Yeah.
There were a lot of things. It's
really pretty socialist.
It's really worth reading. It really gives you a feel for what happened and what the industry was like then.
And it's of course a little bit oriented towards Roberta's viewpoint and a little bit of propagandizing, but it's pretty close to reality from what we can tell.
Yeah.
We talked with Warren Schwader, was one of the big programmers there in the early days, and he's a member of, I think, Seventh Adventist Church, one of those, and the book talks about, how he talked with his, bishop or whatever the elder was, and about whether it was okay to work on these games that were often violent, and said, well, as long as you're tithing to the church, you're doing your duty, it's fine. And Warren says, that's bullshit, it wasn't anything like that, and that, and that he was there because his brother wanted to be there. No, that's true.
Okay, so yeah.
So it's not entirely accurate, but the idea is there.
It's a nice mythology, yes.
I heard stories before we got there of people walking by the executive corridor there and having marijuana smoke drifting under all the doors as they were having their board meetings.
Thanks, Mally, for another subscription. That really helps.
But we never experienced that
It's
ourselves.
a shame that the Game Developers Conference never was able to match what E3 has become. It paints a misleading picture that console games are better than the PC. GDC was taken over by a professional company to run the conference, and that's,
which I believe was originally a book publisher, weren't they?
Right, I don't remember exactly.
Maybe they're just a conference
But at
company.
any rate, it became a professional conference. At that point, it lost all charm and
it's a different kind of thing.
commercial.
It's a different kind of thing from E3. E3 promotes things to basically buyers, stores and distributors, and GDC is more of an educational conference that focuses on developers.
Yes, it
and
was
companies.
specifically for the developer, as opposed to E3, which was for selling things. I mean,
So as a result, I don't know what the current is, but you can get a ticket to E3. You used to be able to get a ticket to E3 for about $50, and you get a ticket to GDC for about $2,000. So there's a reason why it's smaller.
Yeah.
It's much more focused.
Arlo Hero asks, was that the same house you lived in since you were writing Quest for Glory? When we first started at Sierra, we moved into a house on the Fresno River in the middle of Oakhurst, which meant it was in the middle of, there was a horse pasture beside us on two sides. So in the middle of the city doesn't actually mean anything. Which we lived there for about 2 years, and then we moved into the house in Alani, and we lived there until we sold it last year. And the reason we sold it last year is we had to come down here to San Diego area to live with Corey's mother.
We're caregivers for my mother, and she needed to sit down here full time. So our house had basically sat abandoned for a year and a half
before we actually
sold it. And that was again one that we could have probably gotten more money from it by spending more time with it and getting it fixed up and such. We basically dumped it on the market instead. But we get some cash flow from that. It helps Sarah financial comfort.
Yes. I've got hackers as well in my library, but my library is quite deep.
Backlog. Yes.
Yes.
100 titles in total, so I don't know how bad. We don't really have the concept of a backlog anymore because we just have books, and I pull one out and read it sometimes.
Yes, one title at a time will do it. Owning a house makes financial sense for me. I have no idea how people afford rent these days. Well, that's true if you can, but
what's affording a house? Our once our fire insurance in Oakhurst after the Paradise Fire, our fire insurance went up from $600 a year to $5,000 a year.
Yes, and that's only fire insurance.
That was just for the fire. And then we had property taxes and stuff like that. So we were spending $1,500 a month to own that house we weren't living in.
Likewise, down here, we're living in a condo kind of situation, I guess you would say.
It's a senior community. The house is detached, but it's part of a community association.
Of all little houses
we
that all look alike, but every month, we own the house.
$500 or $600 a month the community association.
Yeah, so
plus the taxes and stuff like that. So yes, it is cheaper for us than renting, only because my parents have lived here for 30 years.
Get Lamp is an excellent video documentary on the early gaming space, and
you can't get E-Lamp?
You stick with Lamp. Strong Bad's lightly intrigued surprise delivery of that line gets me every time. See. Backlog for me is only for titles I don't personally own. Library rental stuff is the time I'm limited. Yeah. Well, could you use the library still? I mean, that's a resource that people are forgetting is very, very valuable.
Now, being introduced to that Hackers book, it turned out that I knew some of the people that were in Hackers, and of course we started Sierra, which put us right in the middle of that. And the following year, I got invited to attend the Hackers Conference, which I didn't know existed. And that was a conference that was started by people that were mentioned in the book a couple years earlier, a couple years before that. And every year they went up to a place like Lake Tahoe or
Yosemite.
Originally, they were at Yosemite one year. And now they've mostly been down in, I think, Newport Beach or someplace for a few years, Southern California. But that was basically a place for people that are doing interesting, creative things, mostly in the computer field, but also with, genetics and everything else, get together and talk about the cool hacks they're doing.
We learned about the internet from that.
Yeah.
And we knew the internet before.
That got me, I think that got me the contacts that got me into Sierra. So maybe that was before I came to Sierra.
Maybe. We knew people.
Yeah.
We knew people.
But yeah.
I'm paying mortgage and HOA on my condo here in Greater Cincy, and my friend in Greater Seattle does not let me discuss how much I pay per month. I'll bet. Greater Cincy is not Greater Seattle. It
also depends when you buy it. I mean, my parents owned a house in Venice, which is, right near the beach in West Los Angeles, and they bought it for like $100,000 when they got it. And places there now, nothing's less than, $1.5 million for pretty ordinary houses. So it's just, you can't buy, you pay taxes based on what you paid for it, not what it's worth now.
Yeah. And
so anybody buying that today would not be able to afford the taxes.
I live in a shoebox, so my land rates are lower, but taxes and insurance cost me less than $10,000 a year. But median rent for a similar sized place here is $450 a week, which rounds out to about $22,000. $450 a week, huh?
$450 a week. Wow, that's actually really high. So rents around here about that actually.
Yeah.
That's about right. About $2,000 a month.
I live in my grandparents' basement because it's what I can afford a disability. Yeah.
It used to be a stereotype about gamers.
It used to be, but
now
it
is. Living in
is.
their parents' basements.
Now it is a reality because there's no choice, people.
Yep.
A
lot of people, they're saying, how do you afford a home? Well, this is the one couple was saying, well, I lived with my parents until I was 31, and the woman lived with her parents until she was 33, and that's how they were eventually able to afford a home.
Yes, we never had basements.
It's crazy.
Well, I haven't had basements.
I had a
in
basement
house
when I lived in Pennsylvania.
I did have a basement when I lived in Virginia, but that's it. All right, everyone can hate me. Oh well, you just got lucky, I guess. If you like Cincinnati, I mean, if you like where you're living, good on
I
you.
went to a bridge tournament in Cincinnati. We went out on the street or to restaurants and bars nearby, and there was cigarette smoke everywhere. And after years of living in anti-smoking state of California, that was kind of not very pleasant.
Yeah, 1,200 square foot condo, mortgage and HOA is around $1,000 a month.
Yep. So we don't pay a mortgage. Our HOA is about $600 a month.
Yeah.
And
I think that's
so we're living in a place kind of like yours, OSU.
Yeah, roughly.
It's acceptable. It's not as nice as the.
1,200 square feet.
This is about 1,400.
Yeah, this is actually a huge place, relatively speaking.
It's about that size. It's all the places we've lived in have been in the 1,200 to 1,500 square foot range.
But then again, your trade-off is you live in Cincinnati versus you live in Seattle.
I kind of like Ohio. It's a nice state. I mean, I lived in Benham.
It's plenty for me. For folks with actual families.
Yeah. See, if you got if you got a wife and 4 children, 1,200 square foot's a little crowded.
Yeah, exactly.
But my parents had 3 children. I was the afterthought. Lori had a younger brother. So we're both from pretty small families.
Yeah.
One of the guys who worked in INN has like 12 children.
Yeah.
I worked with him also at BH Development on Jet Set Poker.
Yeah. Hey, I just wanted to say I had a project in website creation where I needed to make a 5-page website. So I made 5 pages about Quest for Glory. Just telling you where the games are based in, lore's taken from the mythologies, and a page saying who the creators are.
There we go.
Yay! Oh, Valiant Cheese needs to disappear. But I hope everybody has a lovely screen and great day into some degree of housing security if possible. Thank you, Valiant. We're going to play
Face Phonics
later after this.
Food security is useful too.
Oh, yeah. I have to say, yeah.
Unfortunately, I have altogether too much food security, and Lori's too good a cook.
Yeah. Brainiac is fine where he is. My friend in Seattle knows how much cheaper it is here, but she doesn't want to leave the ocean, so she's stuck. Yeah. You are stuck. You wind up making your choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I've talked about other places we could live. My first job, I took a year off of college, worked up in Vancouver, British Columbia, and that was just absolutely gorgeous. It rained constantly, so that was a defect, but just a lovely area. And then they had the expo up there, and prices skyrocketed, so I don't think we can afford to live there now.
So thank you, please. See you next time. Okay.
I'll stop coughing into your microphone. Sorry, everyone.
There is no tea, so I used it up. You could drink mine. All right, so let's see. As for me, I have no desire to be coastal. We did not actually choose to be coastal, but we are now. We're about 2 miles from the beach, and there's a lot of beautiful coastline here. Let's see, and Phoenix is only 4 people on that page, so that's fine. Yes, that's fine. Thank you very much, Phoenix. We do appreciate things like that. We like, anybody that's willing to give us free publicity, and hopefully we can sell some games occasionally, yes. Even if we don't make any money off of them, which is the majority of them. At any rate, other than knowing that the hero's children would go to the Orient, did you have any specific plot ideas, antagonists, or characters flesh out for the sequels? Actually, no. We did not have the opportunity to put in the mindset to try to think about that. I certainly know the outcomes of a lot of the characters for Quest for Glory because they filter into Road to Redemption. I know where people have gone that were in the game, but I did not come up with the plot lines in the story for the future games. in that series. My professor loves the way the site looks. Well, thank you. You should put a link here if you've got it online. Valiant Seas hopes the instructions he gave on getting Summer Daze Mac builds behaving were helpful in the end.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Corey says. Corey okay? No, we've had a cold for 3 weeks, so he's just getting tea now. So, but yeah, we've had this cold.
No fever, fortunately.
Yeah, Linky, yes. How about a Linky so we can all see it?
What are you linking to?
I remember Corey having a nasty cough 2 streams ago too. Yeah, guess what? It helped. The problem with having asthma, but he did get better for a long while. But that was probably the spring. Actually, no, it was more like summer. It's been several months since then. August. Okay, well, all right. My father picked up something before Thanksgiving as well. He missed the family gathering as a result. That's a shame, especially as people get older, to miss those things. Because Thanksgiving really is a ritual time for a lot of people. Yeah. COVID test was negative, so it wasn't that. Yes, Corey's COVID test was negative for this, and we never got a decent COVID test the last time we were sick, but we did know that we had COVID. So we have that on our resume of things to get sick for. But we have survived, and we continue to thrive, in fact. You coming back to the seat now, or are you still going to wander?
I'm still going to wander.
Okay, he's going to wander for a bit.
You'll note I've stopped coughing for a couple minutes, and that was just basically blowing my nose, so it's just nasal drainage and stuff. It's not
Luck plus
serious.
caffeine. Yes. Luck plus vaccines. Please get your vaccines. Don't make too many excuses, because it's easy to do that. Let's see.
Bridge tournaments used to always get me sick. Go to the fall NABC Nationals for the ACBL Bridge League, and I always came home sick.
Yeah. To my knowledge, I've dodged the raindrops despite going to a few conventions this year.
Yay.
Yep, good for you. I've been getting older for a few years, yes, for many years. This is Lori and Wise. We have a funny way.
Barry has not been getting older. He has always been older than me, and he still is.
I see. That's Lori and Wise, yes. Yes, let me know if you can figure out how to stop this. Exactly. We don't want to know the one way to stop it is too impractical. Time is a factor in getting older, Molly said sagely. Yes.
Well, Bob Fishbach, the big punster that got us started on puns in Heroes Quest, when I was having one of these coughing fits, said, better stop coughing like that or they'll carry you away in one.
Yes. Yes. Time is a factor in getting older. Then when you spell it with the THYME, then we've got it, said Molly said sagely. Works. Yeah. Pretty much any large gathering of people in close proximity are super spreaders of events of infectious diseases, even before COVID. Any little kid in school is a super spreader. So yes, con crud. We've had con crud for many a convention. Yes.
Dr. Khan was a famous contributor.
He's pointed out that I used to be a tenth of his age. Now I'm less than half. Yes, isn't that math? I did. Did I do an accidental almost pun? Exactly. It was an accidental almost pun. Or a Tom Swifty, as that style of wordplay is called.
We better hurry, Tom said swiftly.
Yes. When I point out math doesn't work like that, he basically ignores me. Okay. I don't know. It sure seems like it. What is that flash? Interesting.
What flash?
There's a flash on your shirt.
Interesting.
Oh, is it from the mouse? No.
Could be.
Is it that bright?
Well, smells.
Interesting. What's your process start coming up with plots, storylines, and characters. My process is probably lying in bed,
Yep.
working these things out. I do a lot of thinking about it while I'm lying in bed.
And she gets very annoyed when I want to work other things out while she's doing that.
Yeah, well, your working out is not the same with my idea of working out. Well,
Mine's better exercise.
yes. I think about, I come up with a location. I come up with a general idea of who I want. I mean, in the case of Tilly's Tale, it was really coming up with the character.
Yeah, it really is
Tilly.
the characters that she starts with.
Yes, and well, I had the setting. The setting's already set, so by having the setting, it gives me parameters for working on, because you've got to have somebody that's teaching the classes. You have to actually see the teachers. You know the environment. You know the kind of locations you're going to put them in. That sets the kind of thing you're going to do. So,
like Quest for Glory 2, large parts of it wrote itself, because we said we were going to do an Arabian Nights story of interleaved, cascading tales, because we thought that would be a really cool structure to use.
and we went with the memes that were the Arabian
Okay,
Nights.
who belongs in the Arabian Nights? You got to have a sultan or an emir. You got to have an evil vizier. You have to have, genies in lamps. Except that our genie went into a ring because Roberta had a genie in a lamp in her game at the same time. I said, well, what else? Oh, harem. We've got to have a harem. And so Lori let me have fun with the harem.
Cascading cattails, yes.
Those maybe not so much Arabian Nights, but
Well, the cattas were and we'd already had a background. We had the cattas that had come from this
yeah, we said they
location.
came from a desert land.
And so therefore now we had another culture that's coming in, and a culture that permeates the land. So all of these things have fun with the harem. Yes.
So basically, you get the setting, and then you say, okay, what fits in that setting? And then you say, okay, who's an interesting example of a character who might be there? And say, what are their problems? What do they need help with? And how can the player help? And then the puzzles and stories sort of don't exactly write themselves, but at least you get the leads there.
Yes, you start to put it together like a big puzzle piece. I mean, you've got this plot point that you want to have, and this character that you want to have, and then you ask, what is that character's motivation? What is his problems? What is he trying to do? And then again, it's a lot of whatever is going on in our lives around side of it that come in and become puzzles and things.
Yeah, which is one of the interesting things is basically the way different people interpret the same word. So the word puzzle can be taken a lot of different ways. And if I look up puzzle games now, I will find almost exclusively match 3 games and that sort of thing. Or the PopCap style, that's now been taken over by everyone, Candy Crush, all those sort of things. And those are puzzles. Whereas in the adventure game era, a puzzle basically was a story problem. The Dr. Brain context, puzzle is like a brain tweet teaser.
My Swedish car broke down. Tom sobbed. I hadn't heard that one before.
Nope, that's a new one on me.
Yeah, that is a Tom Swiftie.
I worked when I worked for Olivetti on the M20 professional computer. A lot of people there drove Italian cars, Fiats in particular, and they were renowned for spending more time in the shop than in their on the street.
And Brainiac says puzzle games are more like Mr. Made-up puzzles like the Fool's Errand. And we think of Fool's Errand as a classic puzzle.
Yeah, that's a classic puzzle game. But see, that's the point, is that the puzzles in Fool's Errand, you basically took effectively puzzle book type puzzles, like I did with Castle Dr. Brain, and then built a little bit of a story veneer around them. Whereas in Quest for Glory, we started with the story and say, what are problems to solve here? And those became the puzzles.
Yep. So,
that's basically 2 different looks at the idea of puzzle. And we think we got a more organic game series by, basing them on the story and the characters. But it's not invalid to have puzzles. It's just, things to solve. It just doesn't necessarily keep you in the fantasy of the story as well.
Right. We want our games to be integrated to feel real. that's something important to our game aesthetics, is that the player has to feel like they're in the game and that this is real and there's nothing that's incongruous that throws them out. That's why we don't stress tough puzzles, because to me, when you hit your head against a puzzle that you can't solve, you've lost the game. You've been taken out of the universe, and you're back into feeling lousy because you can't solve the stupid puzzle.
And even World of Warcraft has been building more of those, explicit puzzle type things in the games the last few years. So, in the previous expansion in Nazjatar, you'd go and all of a sudden, open up a chest, and it had a lock on it that you had to solve a match 3 game to open the lock, or on Twisting Wires. And they did that again with their Zereth Mortis in the latest expansion.
I think that's just filler in this
Yeah, it's
case.
kind of filler content, but, some people hate it, some people love it. They made it so there was a very expensive way that you could avoid the puzzle. Say, solve the puzzle for me, but it took all the energy of your companion for about an hour. Or, or 10 minutes worth of energy would let you actually solve the puzzle.
Okay. Yeah, you could get around him. David TKI said, I hit that in a real bad way recently with the Dagger of Amun-Ra. Yeah. Adventure games, I just don't have the right mentality. I don't like frustration, and it starts to hit me, and I can't.
David tried to lift a map, but he had to lift a corner of the map. And that was especially bad in text parser era.
Yes.
So you had to get the right phrasing and guess the developer's mind. I got totally stuck on Zork when I went to the Bank of Zork, and there's a shimmering blue curtain, and you try to go through the curtain or click that direction north or whatever it was, and you get stopped by the force wall. But if you say walk through the curtain or go through the curtain slowly, you could do it. But there was no real indication that would work.
Has anyone played the Talos Principle? Amazing. Speaking of puzzle games.
Which one?
Talos.
No, I have not.
Haven't actually.
I've got a couple of, have a thing called the House of Da Vinci that's pretty interesting. The House of Da Vinci has a lot of the Chinese puzzle box things, the ones that are the woodworking things where you've basically sculpted, the puzzle, and you can slide little pieces of the thing and so on and try to get the box open. We have a guy locally where we live who gets kits of those and puts them together and then hand paints them and sells them at craft fairs. And they're pretty cool things. So that's what all the puzzles in House of Da Vinci are like, is, you basically discover an interesting thing and then you've got to slide pieces of it and push buttons and move things around, and that gets it open, reveals the next stage of the puzzle, and it's all tied in with pictures and works that Da Vinci wrote.
I feel like Dagger of Amun-Ra is the unfortunate category of guess what the creator was thinking games, which is another category of puzzle games. That is exactly why I preferred switching over from the text parsers to the point and click. And point and click is much harder to develop a good puzzle for. It really is, because it's much easier. The text parsers make the game 1,000 times more difficult.
Although the visual puzzles in 7th Castle Dr. Brain aren't any easier for being point and click.
Well, that's true.
You bring up an interface and you've got to figure out what
yes,
to do with the interface.
The whole Myst thing, that I wasn't fond of Myst because it was too abstract. Every puzzle was, basically find the right pixel to click on, so I'm not fond of that thing.
Molly mentions the infamous cattail fake mustache in Gabriel Knight 3. And I kind of hate, picking out one thing to point at a game for and say, what a terrible puzzle that was. They screwed that up. But, that's kind of that category of arbitrary puzzles that don't really make sense, don't really further the storyline of a game.
No, they're just there to make the puzzle.
It makes a great experience to laugh at. Yes, you used to impersonate somebody who doesn't have a mustache by getting his passport and drawing a mustache on the passport. I mean, it's totally moon logic.
Yes. Dagger of Amun-Ra's or Amon Ra's thing is that there's no part of the environment that pops out. You have to guess where the thing is, and the actual interchangeable space for the thing, interactable space for the thing you're trying to look for is tiny. Yikes! Yes.
Yeah, that used to. I mean, Monkey Island even had some of the hunt the pixel things where you're in a huge store and there's one very small area you have to click on to do something. So it was unfortunate.
What's the whole backstory with Amon Ra? They didn't make any more Laura books because Sierra tried to screw over the developer guy because his other games sold too many copies. That's correct. That was Bruce Balfour basically made a game that made more money than Ken wanted to pay him. So therefore, there was.
I heard that was more Outpost was the one that they didn't want to pay him his royalties on.
It wasn't Amon Ra, but it was the fallout from
that.
he
wrote Outpost. Outpost was panned as being a game with very ambitious promises in the in the box cover and the advertisements that ended up cutting about 20 or 30% of the content because they didn't have time to finish it. And so that was really panned for that, but it was a very successful game and sold a lot of copies.
Yeah.
And Bruce had a very generous royalty agreement with them, and they paid him a fixed sum instead of his royalty amount. And he said, "Hey, this isn't right." And they said, "Well, isn't this a lot of money?" And well, yeah, it's a pretty good amount of money, but
we
you're
don't
being
know.
greedy.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did not know what the actual outcome was, except that Bruce couldn't talk about it.
They settled, and Bruce was happy with the settlement.
And Bruce couldn't talk about it, and he was no longer at Sierra, and nor was his wife. So therefore, it wasn't a good time at that point. So that's why the Dagger of Laura Bow died. But the original Laura Bow, which was Roberta's idea,
Colonel's Bequest.
Colonel's Bequest was Roberta's idea, but I believe it was mostly the team that developed it, from what I got the impression.
Yeah, Doug Herring, I think, was the lead artist, and he designed a lot of the more killer puzzles, like walking by a suit of armor,
yes,
or oiling a suit of armor, and it kills you because you did that.
So yes. So I would say that Roberta just gave general instructions for it and the idea of it, and then the team actually created it. And so then when they gave it to Bruce Balfour, he tried to turn it, Laura Bow, into a real major character series.
Alex, that thing about having to click in the wrong place could easily just have been a bug. We had a problem with Summer Daze until very recently, where if you wanted to interact with the kitchen, you had to click just off the kitchen in the dining room, and it was just a problem. It was just a bug.
Yeah, that just sounds like a bug, and it was a bug that didn't get caught. That's the sad thing, and it's also depends on the programmer, because not every programmer has, again, what Bob Bates called the designer gene. He
designer genes has said yes on it.
Right, genes, they just say, okay, there's the space. Let's put a little point there, and that's where you can click on. They don't realize, you have to make it large enough.
And design matters.
And design matters, yeah. Story-wise, though, I thought that Colonel's Bequest was a much more cohesive whole. Everything was nicely counted for and wrapped up. There were a number of loose ends and things that ended up not making sense in Amon Ra. I'm sorry to hear that. I always thought that Amon Ra was going to be the better story, but Colonel's Bequest was the one that was influenced by Ken and Roberta going through a mystery house.
Yeah, they went to a thing down in North Hollywood or Hollywood that was basically an interactive mystery theater event where they went into a huge house, and they had actors in every room in the house playing out parts of the story, and you could wander through the house in any order and get pieces of the story and then try to put together the murder mystery from that. And so they thought, oh, this will make a cool game. We should do this.
And I thought it was a great idea. And I also thought that the Laura Bow series, as somebody asked me, what game of Sierra that wasn't our game would I like to do? And I really thought that Laura Bow would be fun to do that mystery house kind of adventure game of a locked house puzzle, or the night in the museum.
Locked puzzle, yeah.
They've already kind of done that, yeah.
But one of the really cool innovations in Colonel's Bequest was the idea that you could hide out in a secret passage and eavesdrop on a conversation and get information without it directly being there.
Yeah.
Mystery House, the OG original game. Um,
I'm surprised Roberta didn't push for more Laura Bows, even though even just to get more female-led games.
well, Roberta had entirely as much work as she wanted to do.
Yes, exactly. I did love the Laura Bow series though, and would have loved to see more. I'm really biased though. I'd like to be. I'm a mystery fiend, and also like games with female protagonists. Yes, the representation really matters. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It is the IP with the greatest existing franchise potential untapped, in my opinion. Yes, I think so too.
I don't think about it, but maybe.
Yeah, I mean, our series is kind of closed. I mean,
Yeah.
we really did everything we wanted to do.
Did what was
what
needed.
it's going to do. And King's Quest just kept going and going. It never ended. Leisure Suit Larry is best not spoken of, and you know, it had the most interesting possibilities of future games.
Yeah, one of the things with Mystery House is, you know, they wanted to do a game. You know, Roberta was enamored of Colossal Quest and the Scott Adams Adventures, and wanted to do a game like that, but have pictures in it. And Ken got hold of a drawing tablet for the Apple II, and the question was, you know, when you had discs that held like, I don't know, 48K of memory or something on a disc. The computer only had 48K. I don't know, maybe the memory was 80K or something in the floppy, but almost nothing. How do you put, you know, illustrations that use up a lot of space? And so this tablet was for drawing applications and did vector graphics, and Ken worked out a way to basically just capture the stream of commands from the moving the the pointer of the tablet and save that in a data file, and then do a color by number fill in the blanks thing. So the artwork in Mystery House is really primitive, not very pretty, but it works, and it uses almost no memory.
And very creative use. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, give Ken and Roberta credit.
Ken actually not a dummy.
Yes, Ken was brilliant to actually get that to work in the first place.
And just like Eric Langell, who we worked with in Quest for Glory 5, absolutely brilliant developer. But that doesn't necessarily mean that you get better games out of it. It just means the technology works.
Mm-hmm. Might be the only franchise Sierra fans might actually be able to pool enough money to buy. It is possible. It certainly won't be on their high list of things they're going to think about over at Activision.
Yeah, pretty much Activision hasn't wanted to license anything because a bad game might make them look bad, and they won't be the ones making all the money.
Also, I think the key is that they don't think they'll make the $5, $10, $20 million that they can off of other games, and it's not worth their effort to even.
$100 million.
Yeah. I mean, they're sitting there milking. Blizzard is milking.
Candy Crush Saga and World of Warcraft and Call of
Yeah.
Duty. You know, they've got, you know, there's few franchises.
And they're being run by a total jerk. So therefore, the total jerk has no interest in real.
I haven't personally met Bobby Kotick. I only know what other people say about him.
Yes, this is all from hearsay.
All hearsay.
Yeah. Is the lore rich enough that it's worth buying rather than making a whole new game in a similar vein with serial numbers filed up?
Well, that's an interesting question in general, because, like, you know, Heroes Quest is, you know, sort of like the lore of Quest for Glory with serial numbers filed off, but it's really just, you know, from the online school that Lori did with Michelle Baker. And it does not get the traction of calling something Quest for Glory Continued.
Yes, it's the traction
It's
that
all a
you're
marketing
going.
thing.
It's a marketing thing. Yes, it could be easy to do a whole new mystery game with somebody similar, and there's other games out there. I mean,
There's a whole bunch of Sherlock Holmes games.
and
That's
there's
a favorite.
also female antagonist games, but they don't have the ability to have the name recognition. Yes.
I mean, you know, me and Gail Carriger, Custard Protocol, and, you know, Vampire Protectorate or whatever it was series would be a lot of fun to do a game around.
Mm-hmm.
So if we wanted to license, we might go for that.
I couldn't tell whether she meant that because of the
What? Where?
whether I couldn't tell whether Lori meant Leisure Suit Larry because of the content or the way the Leisure Suit Larry 7 ended.
Did you mention Leisure Suit Larry?
I did. I said best not mentioned.
No.
Yes. I don't actually know how Leisure Suit Larry ended, but there were some very grotesque jokes that I didn't approve of in the early
Well,
things.
apparently Leisure Suit Larry 2 ended with a really unfair puzzle because of the text parser, and you had to type things in the exact right format. But
Wow.
I thought Leisure Suit Larry 2 was a brilliant design effort. It was designed for floppy disks, and it basically took you to zones, and you were in that zone for a limited part of the game, and once you moved out of it, you never went back there, and that allowed each zone to live in its own floppy disk.
Yeah, so it was great,
Great
great
game
design. Yes, designed to be practical. Supposedly, Microsoft heads are actually interested in what they're buying now, so who knows?
So they say.
We're so looking forward to it because it can't be any worse.
Yeah.
I mean, because, yes, they are trying. The people that are designing WoW, despite all that, the problems that they've had, despite all the sexual, just the prejudice and the things like that, and the tough times that developers had trying to make games, there are still developers there that do love what they're doing. They still care, and they still work very hard. So we still play WoW. There's a reason why we still play WoW, because they still have some, creativity going on.
Yeah, and when asked what we'd want to do if we had a massively multiplayer version of Quest for Glory, I said that'd be World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
We did it pretty well.
After the middling results of the Odd Gentleman's KQ reboot, I would assume they would try something else first. Precisely, they want millions. They do not want Petty Annie $100,000 or less. Yeah.
Or even 1 million is not enough.
No, 1 million is just petty
the numbers
cash.
start at 10 million, and 100 million looks a lot better.
Yeah.
We had a potential investor who looked at our games, and said he was really interested, was a big fan, and so on, and asked how many copies it sold of Hero. I said, like 20,000. And he was like, yeah, never mind.
Yep.
Because he was looking for something that was already a hit before he got into it.
Yep. If Al Lowe wasn't enjoying his retirement, I'd like him to perhaps revive Torrens Passage. That does still have great reviews. Holmes being public domain helps there, exactly. Sherlock Holmes is public domain, and the name is everybody.
He's synonymous with private detective.
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows Sherlock Holmes in one form or another. So yeah, I really like Torrens Passage. Wouldn't have minded a sequel. Is Nancy due public domain yet?
So it says 2025 for the original text.
Okay.
So our producer on which game did Stuart Mulder do? Quest for Glory 3? 4?
Mostly he did the remake of one.
Okay, he was there during the remake of one period.
And he was
anyway, he later went on to become an executive at Microsoft's game division, and he worked with, I think, Herd Interactive or one of those on Nancy Drew games.
Yes, he did. Yeah.
And Daniel Hayne also worked on those. So. The
trademarks are a cuddle affix. Yes,
everybody moves all around the industry and works everywhere eventually.
I felt like a lot of the main Sierra titles didn't get proper closure. Space Quest 6 was kind of an open-ended ending. Leisure Suit 7 ends with him blasting into space. And I heard King's Quest 8 wasn't even about King Graham. Well, yeah. There's a problem with series. And that was a problem we knew from the beginning. When we were designing our game, we designed it with end. We wanted it to end. And a game company wants a series to continue. And that's the same thing with publishers.
It's the same thing with Sherlock Holmes, in fact. Conan Doyle wanted to kill off Sherlock Holmes and get on to something else, and the fans wanted more Sherlock Holmes stories.
Yes, so therefore Reichenbach Falls was actually the end.
That was supposed to end
clean. Yep, clean ending, but it didn't happen. So you've got this constant fight between what is right for the story and what is right for the publisher and the author. So yeah, it's hard to give closure to a series when you don't want that to end, and the fans don't want it to end. You guys still wanted us to make Quest for Glory 6 and 7 and 8.
And it's it's hard for the authors because they want to actually make a living, which the best way to do is make sequels to things you've done. But they're there because they're creative and they have stories and ideas that they want to get out, and those don't necessarily make them as much. Or sometimes they turn into their own franchises.
The original Nancy Drew book was rewritten in 1959 as well, arguably not for the better. Yes, Agatha Christie avoided that with Perrault, but she came to despise him. Well, she wrote his death. She wrote his death of Miss Marple. She wrote his death of Poirot. She concluded them off, but she didn't publish them. They were published after her death, so that it would be closure to these characters.
So they were sort of the portrait of, what's his name?
Dorian Gray.
Dorian Gray, yeah, portrait of Dorian Gray. Yeah. She had to kill off her characters so she could keep them alive and make money from them.
Yes, exactly.
But privately killed them off.
Curtin was prepared during World War II in case the worst happened, so she had that ending waiting for years. Yes. She knew she was going to kill him off, so... So what are we supposed to do with the Quest for Glory 5 save character files? We honestly were going to make a new series using that.
I think the discs go into a landfill and destroy the environment.
Right. Yes. So the save games, we will not, if we kept working for Sierra or kept the rights to it, we would have had games where you played the children, and the children had their own stories, and then
maybe your save game would come in to tell what their parents were like,
yes,
so that
it would tell us who your parents were.
Backstory.
Yeah, so that's how we were planning on using the Quest for Glory.
Yeah, for Hero U, we actually talked about bringing back some of the lore from Quest for Glory 5, and having a discussion about who the king and queen of Somari are and stuff like that. But we decided it just wasn't practical to do that from save games.
Yeah, it just was, but more to the point, we don't know how your game ended. It's like, did you play the thief to the end? Did you play the paladin to the end? Which story did you want to come forward? It was up to you. And
if 80% of our players never played the games or never finished them, then they wouldn't even have that experience.
Right. So.
And certainly 90% of the people that played them don't have their save game discs anymore. Only a few you fanatics.
Brainiac says Agatha Christie killed off Poirot, so no one else would write him. It didn't work. I know. It's like publishers will publish. Yes. Then back to the Nancy Drew books. My goal was to read all the Nancy Drew books. The original Yellow Spine ones didn't quite make it, but almost. I think I only had one single number left to finish off.
Yeah, as a kid I read Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, but my favorite was the Rick Brandt stories. And those were all science-based stories that were really, really good. I will never forget the scene where they're at the Mexican border, and they're just going there on a vacation, but of course they always get drawn into a mystery, and a swarthy man comes up to them and says, "I have a warning for you," and they're like, "A mystery." It's like, "Don't drink the coffee black," and as for the chilies and the spicy food, that's okay, but don't try to get rid of the spice by drinking. Eat bread, eat tortillas. But the coffee, you have to mix the coffee with sugar and milk or it's not drinkable. And it was like, okay, so they're all prepared for this horrible proclamation and mystery. Yeah, it's basically
the Shaggy Dog story.
This food is dangerous there.
No.
And then of course they eventually get a map that has peligro on it and so on, and they have a explore a mine and all kinds of things. So. Cool
I've got plenty of saved characters files rattling around, but I don't think they're on proper discs at this point. Yeah.
Oh, the other Rick Brandt story was the one about the people that were getting the diplomats and stuff. They were getting cerebral hemorrhages, and eventually turned it out that they were getting hair done in beauty parlors that were run by enemy agents, and that they had some kind of a machine in the hair dryer that was scrambling their brains, which later came into my mind when we had the issues in Cuba with people suddenly getting headaches, and they were suspecting some kind of microwave attack or something. And I don't even know if they've fully solved that. They've got theories on it. But it really tied into those old Rick Brandt stories where they were trying to manipulate the government by taking out the other party.
Arlo Hero said, "You saved your characters? Always played the series through and just overwrote my previous file. It's actually amazing how well that works together, given that when they were writing them, it would be a year before you could play the next one. Right? Year or 3, yeah. I wouldn't expect anyone to still have or remember their saved character files at that point, but playing the game straight through works well." Yes, exactly.
The lockpick in the nose thing was probably, I don't think it was Fishbach, I think it was the tall guy on the team. But anyway.
Mark Wilden?
No, wouldn't have been him. Might have been Fishbach.
Yeah,
anyway, but it was basically probably fit into my experience, because I've always been a nose picker, sorry.
God, Corey, we don't need to know, thank you.
I've had sinus problems and allergy problems my entire life.
It has nothing to do with that. It was a joke, son, yes.
It was a joke. Picky nose, picky locks, yeah, haha.
Yeah. Corey has over 40 lockpicking, yes, exactly. Uh-huh. And you guys complain about Larry, jeez. Yeah, well, that was the only...
I don't complain about Larry. I thought Larry was a cute series that... it was too hard a game for me.
Yeah.
But I really liked Larry. I worked on Larry 2 extensively, because that was my first project developing SCI for the Atari ST.
My nose is unlocked.
And I really liked the game.
Mm-hmm.
Parts I played of it.
I liked some of the jokes. I thought they were very clever. The
grotesque gulp is classic.
Yes, grotesque gulp definitely has got to go down there as one of the best all-time puzzle games for,
Or the embarrassing Larry about what kind of lubber he's trying to buy.
Ah.
But, does, well, do you want it ridged, or do you want it, lubricated, etc.? And then he shouts out the top of his lungs, "Okay, this pervert wants da-da-da-da-da."
Yeah.
Which is really actually a play off of Original Adventure, where they had jokes that were based on student culture at MIT. And, if you typed in foo, it would say, well, foo bar and bletch to you, because that was their version of light obscenity there. And that it really made the game come alive by people, things that somebody else might say at the school, but you'd never expected a computer screen to be echoing back at you.
Yep. I think you might be able to argue that Colonel's Bequest is a remake of Mystery House, as LSL is a remake of Soft Porn.
Possibly, but Colonel's Bequest is much richer than Mystery House.
And well, I think that's the point. It is this to this as this is to this, and both of them are far, far from what they were. Soft Porn was just a text adventure with something, and then Leisure Suit Larry is
it's all about the graphics.
It's another level above it.
And now and having been a musician, it's all about the music.
I remember the first time I discovered the nose pick thing. I was trying to use the lock pick to give the thief sign in the alley, and I misclicked. Mind blown! Yeah. That's a reasonable idea.
What is it?
The idea of using the lockpick to give a thief sign would be a reasonable puzzle solution.
You show your lockpicks, and that means you're a thief.
Yeah. Well, the Colonel is certainly rich. It's more of a spiritual successor than a proper remake. That would be the VGA versions, yes.
Nice lockpicks there. It would be a shame if anything happened to them.
As a kid, a lot of the adult jokes of Larry... until he gets through that or gets out of the way. Okay. Go over your head. The reason I liked it was because it was the only game where you got to get some sense of what adult life was like. And of course, every child wants to play an adult. As Larry, you can get beaten up in an alley. You need to keep track of how much money you have or you die. And you walk around wearing a suit like adults did back in the 80s, at least on TV. Interesting. The adult joke thing of going over the head of the child was the Rocky and Bullwinkle cartoons that we grew up with. Their jokes, they wrote those things in they rival Sierra stories. They were in a small little
Sherman and Peabody.
Yeah, that a small little company where they were under tight deadlines. They were under an authoritarian designer, publisher, and they came up with really wild and crazy things. And they had a lot of jokes that were totally designed to go over the head of kids. And that's what really made it, because watching it, you knew there was something there. You knew that was a joke. You didn't know why it was a joke, but you did know it was something there that made it interesting. Yes. In a word, you got it.
Well, I have my
That's
father's
3 words.
college yearbook for 1942, and all the kids there are in suits and ties.
Ah, okay. That was that era. We have come a long way.
I discovered my father was on the chess team in college. I never knew that.
So yes, why don't we play a game, speaking of games?
Well, I was
before
actually
Disneyland?
going to not exactly play a game, but sort of play a game.
Yes, June Foray, a truly legendary voice actor. She was my hero. Yes, and I got to see her once. I got to see her at a convention once, and I believe I got her on. Met her for doing a very small role on Shannara, I think. That sounds right. And
She was actually in it?
Yes.
Wow.
Did a line there or two, yes. I heard Pee Wee Herman used to do that too, have adult jokes. It's almost surprising he got canceled for partying in an adult theater. So, yeah, yes. I'm sure, I never watched Pee Wee Herman. He was on television when I didn't watch television, but I'm sure he did, because they did not, that group were crazy people too. And yes, he did get, I'm not sure he was still making them at that time, but it was certainly a scandal when he was in an adult theater and doing inappropriate things.
Well, doing perfectly appropriate things for adult theater, but...
No, you're not supposed to do things in adult
Or
theaters.
anything.
What are you trying to do? There it is.
It's just really quiet.
Yeah, well, I guess.
How's that volume?
Can you hear it? Because we're barely hearing it. Audible but faint.
Okay, that's fine.
Better do something about that right now.
Okay. All right.
I've got a lot to do here today. And no one to help me. I really should have made some more friends.
I'm sure you can actually get
The
any
voices
friends
are
here.
much clearer. They are.
Not half bad. Of course, it took me all day and most of the evening to do it. And it's not done yet. I just hope that tomorrow is more successful than today.
Ah, you have no friends.
Today.
Well, I think I
What
probably
a
do,
day. Well, at least today's over now. I won't have to study for any stupid test tonight. So, what should I do now? I still have a few things I can do to make the festival better.
I think we had that same sting from Hero U.
Probably.
I've been up for hours putting up
This
my
is
last
distinctly
minute
Tilly
decorations. I think it looks great. The headmaster is finally done talking. I must have dozed off. It's time for the alumni to gather for their portrait.
And it's thank you time for Summer Days alumni.
These are our alumni. All the people that went in and supported our.
And gave a little bit of extra to get their portrait of the game. We actually probably spent more money on the portrait than getting the portraits painted than we got from them, but it adds some life to the game, and
Tilly
it thanks
shouldn't have
people.
been in that.
Who?
Tilly's face should not be in this.
Oh well,
Yeah,
covers too many people.
I know it
It's
does.
a lobster, a mechanical lobster.
It is a mechano lobster. Yes, oh, and a tanuki. Yes, there's that tanuki. More
A lightning sword, Mortuai in the background.
Yeah.
Yes.
So there are
And
our
person with-
supporters.
Person with a rocket pack, which fits right in with Kitty in the game.
To fix all the food for this festival. Please, was my food tasty? Was it barely even edible?
This is Calvin, son of Calb.
It was delicious.
Then you think that I am worthy
are worthy of the title of first assistant
Woo.
culinary student sous chef.
Oh, I am so joyous. I am running in circles, chasing my tail with delirium. This is the best ever day of my life.
Why don't you go over to the picnic tables and eat some of the food before it's all gone?
Can I? May I? Actually eating
It was misspelled there. Needed an apostrophe.
Instead of just licking off
Shocking.
the scraps of food-stuck plates taken back to the kitchen from
We're going to ship it that way.
You are a real student and a real chef.
I am, aren't I? Oh, well then, I've been drowning in my own drool all day in the smell of this fantastic feast. Maybe I could just eat a little of it before it's sent back to the kitchen.
Congratulations, Fraulein Appleberry. The headmaster is most pleased with the Harvest Festival.
We're doing all the spoilers here.
Schedule the headmaster to open and close the event.
I set it up so that the headmaster can talk all he wants at the festival before the people show up. Then I'll fall asleep.
You demonstrate a firm grasp of the proper way to please authority figures. I appreciate that you put in the time and effort to make this festival uniquely your own. Well done.
Appleberry, the headmaster wants to see you.
What for? It's almost time for his closing speech.
He wants to commend you for the success of this festival.
Okay.
I have fooled the headmaster, but I know you cheated somehow. Someone else likely did all the work just so you could get the credit.
Of course I cheated. I'm a disbarred bard, aren't I? It's what we do.
What a grumpy dude.
Yep.
Yes.
And then the closing credits and some more thank yous for the other half that didn't make it into the festival scene.
Well, they weren't supposed to.
Well, we actually sold 2 tiers, one for the festival and one for the closing credits.
Turk must live in a perpetual state of disappointment. We hope so. People like that deserve. That's our son. Yeah, that was our son's cartoon. People could be a cartoon character, they could be in the game. And so therefore, and these are all of our supporters. To get their names in the game, we wanted to thank them all very much for all their support and the fact that they made this game come real. And then all of these characters are just real, this is what they wanted to show as. So, we gave everybody the right to be who they wanted to be.
And we have 2 or 3 musicians involved in the music here. So we like to have a lot of variety of it.
This is every backer's name? Yes. Secret identities, yes.
The scrolling is all the backers, and the portraits are the ones that contribute enough to get their portrait in the game.
The right to be who you want to be is never to be undervalued. Yes. Did you get the, Molly, I don't remember. Yes. So many thanks, Coles, on behalf of the backers, yeah.
Some posts are penitentiary on Discord, square root of -1, horizontal bar, pi symbol, and was over 8 pi.
Ah, yes, that's correct, yes. Yes, some of you will see your names there.
Thank you, and thank you for everyone
very
sharing the
much. We
stream.
really Sweet Polly Purebred.
I don't remember Sweet Polly.
I know.
See those names in here I haven't even seen in a
Yeah.
while.
Yes. Well, that ending was the least ending. That is the successful ending if you don't have any friends.
Yeah, if you worked really hard on it but didn't... so the game is about friendship. And getting people to help you out. Until he spends, like, about the first third of the game doing nothing but trying to convince people to do all the work for her. And he eventually realizes that there's got to be a give and take. And if you want to make friends, you got to do things for them, too. So it's kind of basic character growth game.
Was a survey sent out with regards to the names of the credit? I can't remember if I answered yes. We sent out surveys.
Years ago.
But it's been so many years, how can you remember?
Yeah, we ended up doing it. The Kickstarter surveys aren't very useful because you can only do them once. And there are questions you have to ask for stuff you need to make the game, that there's other questions you need for distribution. And when it takes us 3 years to make a game, you can't re-ask. So we went to BackerKit instead for all that. And then periodically remind people to update their BackerKit info, which some people do. I still receive survey responses for the 2012 Kickstarter for Hero U.
Yeah, I mean, it's really bizarre. All of a sudden, we get that survey.
Every few weeks, we get another survey in.
It's like, but we can't do anything with those surveys. We can't even see them on Kickstarter.
There's Jean Dvorak. She wrote the novel based on Mortuai.
Yeah.
Or, not Mortuai, the other guy.
On
The guy, Wim and Jameis.
Jameis
And Wim. No Mortuai in it.
So,
That all came from the Half Wittenberg Door website.
Yep.
Chance Houston. Joe Pranovich as a game reviewer.
So you could see we've had a lot of people, a lot of you supported us, and we really, really appreciate it.
Samurai Celery Man. That's Wilson Sai. He was one of our big backers.
Yes, he's got, saved
Investor.
it. Saved.
Yeah, he saved Hero U.
Yes, he did.
We would not have released Hero U without his last minute contributions.
Mm-hmm. I would more than happy to support any other thing from you. Well, thank you. People keep answering the surveys even late because Kickstarter keeps asking for them. The answer to be followed. That's what a backer said when I asked why he answered the survey too. Years after the release of the game. Interesting, and yes,
it gets it off your nag list.
Yeah.
I can't stand nag lists, so if Quest for Glory pops up a thing that says you need to select new talents, it's really hard for me not to interrupt whatever I'm doing in the middle of a combat and set my talents.
Nah.
So I get killed.
Yeah. How does one get a signed Quest for Glory one box from you? Does it actually?
You contact us in Discord or email.
Yeah.
Email us the box and enough money to pay for return postage. We sign and send it back.
Did you see yours, Molly? You were there.
So here's everyone on the beach. So you guys
Yes, I just
so
got
how
through
you
that.
Frosty put all this together?
Yeah, this was Al's work. All of his cartoons and all people's characters. But we really say thank you to all of you. The group shot, yes. So we have the two kinds of group shots. We have the one in the game, and we have that group shot, and they're all different people.
And for a while after you watch the credit scene, if you click on intro, you got that over and over.
My aunt started messaging. You'll have to play the game to actually see it there.
And it will soon be for sale.
Yes.
And it will also soon be distributed to our backers.
Yes.
I'm going through, let's go to back to full screen.
Okay.
Yeah, I had originally said I was going to release it to all the backers and then start publicizing, get it out to everyone else. And Dave Gilbert runs Wajidai, said, and he didn't know if that was such a good idea because our backers are our biggest fans. They're the ones that will really talk about and push the game. And if the game is not available when they're all talking about it, they may lose interest at some point and we won't sell copies of it. So it's that trade-off between getting it to the backers as soon as possible because they really helped us, making commercially available so we can actually start repaying some of the hundreds of thousands of dollars we spent in the game that are, in limbo right now, and trying to find the right time frame to release it in. Because right now, all of the Black Friday sales are on, and there'll be the Christmas sales, and basically people are buying heavily discounted older games, and a new game comes out, and they say, why should I pay $20 for a game if I can pay $5 for something that's been out 10 years? And so this is a really hard sale season to get any notice at all. All the major AAA titles are coming out. World of Warcraft's big expansion is coming out in 3 days, 2 or 3 days. And it's invisible. So really the game ought to be launched in February or March when it's a slow period. But it's done now, finally, after 3 years of work.
Molly, your birthday was yesterday?
Oh, happy birthday, Molly!
Happy birthday!
Mine's tomorrow.
And Corey's is tomorrow, so you're bad birthday
Raises in 2
sandwich.
weeks.
Yes.
Belksar recommends dextromethorphan. It has limited value to me. I took some of the Pearls, Perles, long-term cough drops, and they sort of work, and they sort of don't work. They're supposed to last for 8 hours, and in practice, they help. But in the mornings, I'm definitely kind of terrible cough, and then as the day progresses, get better, and then by evening, it's bad again.
My boyfriend's birthday was on the 23rd. Well, yay!
My friend's daughter's was yesterday, and his son's the 22nd.
November is a birthday month. Yeah, for DM, take 30 mils.
Okay. I probably only take 20.
Yeah.
I have
That's
some.
good to know.
Which one do I have? I have the.
Robitussin
No,
DM
not
is
the
the one
Robitussin. I have the other one.
I like Robitussin. You like NyQuil.
No, this is a different one.
This is a different one.
Delsim. I like Robitussin, the flavor of Robitussin better.
How do you define a hero? I remember the Baronet was called a hero, but it's not clear what he did.
Oh, he did. If you go into the Adventurers Hall, you'll see all the, the heads of monsters that he slew. And,
not the Baronet.
The Baronet.
The
Baronet was a hero because he's like Eric Trump or whatever. He's the son of a powerful person, and therefore he's a hero.
Yes, it's the fact that hero, that is not a hero in our definition, but it's a hero by modern,
Yeah, he gets declared a hero because the son of a baron is supposed to be a hero.
Yes, the Baronet is a hero in his own mind. Yes, and then eventually his sister saves the realm. This is in history that is not published, but Elsa between the game of 1 and game 5 actually saves Spielberg, and that's why she's the hero of Spielberg.
Yeah, nepotism right now, one of the big right-wing talking points is how Joe Biden helped his son Hunter get into positions of power, and he made all this money from it, and they're going after Hunter Biden, who really doesn't have a whole lot to do with his dad. And then the left side, we all go after Ivanka and Jared, and how they actually worked in the White House and got, millions of dollars from doing stuff that they weren't qualified for.
The Baronet is a hero the way the Captain Crunch is a captain.
There we go.
Yes.
He's got the title.
Yeah.
That actually is a big thing with me. I've always had a problem with titles. I've had people say, well, I'm the software director. You have to listen to me and respect me. And I'm like, well, you have to do things that I like and respect if you want me to like and respect you.
The way Dr. Mario is a doctor, yes. Basically what we...
Dr. Brain.
Yes. We do explore what it means to be a hero. That's what we're trying to do in a lot of our games.
Well, in 2 we did that. We had the poems with the... you ask what is a hero and da-da-da-da-da.
Our games all had themes. Our games all had trying to get to different meanings and things. And it's you took up to 4 o'clock, so we've actually used our time.
I did.
And so we won't be able to use that phrase.
We could use my phrase, and I did. We can still do it. We can run till 4:30. You want to do a phrase flummoxer or not?
Well, it's up to you guys. You want to...
Okay, quick, let's have a vote.
Yes. Phrase flummoxer, get to do trying to...
Where'd it go?
Fill it out. Let's see, Paul. It's there. Paul.
There.
Paul.
Okay.
Do phrase flummoxer.
Give me keyboard. Yep.
Okay. So, anyway, we really appreciate all of you. That's the whole point of this. We're not turning down more calls. This is, we do this because of you. We really appreciate you, and we really appreciate taking time and talking to you and things like that. We do, we are still working on our games, and we get some really exciting stuff coming up for the next game and then the following game. So this is Tilly's is the rogue game. Then we have Ifeo is the wizard's game, and then we go to the warrior game with Sammy. And
do another option.
Say goodnight. You did. Okay,
Yeah,
fine. That's fine. That's it.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay. You can only vote once. You get to choose.
Okay, there's your poll.
What number do you choose?
Type in a 0, 1, or a 2.
Yeah. the monitor died. There it comes back. Good thing it didn't die permanently. Okay, so come back to this. Good enough. We're done. Yes. All right. People are ready to go, and people are. Oh well. Let's see. Keep chatting. Play Flummoxer. Yes. 0 good enough. Oh, 0 is good enough. No, we're done. So 1 is keep chatting, and 2 is the thing. Okay, fine. Interesting. Yeah. I'm fine with 1 or 2. Okay, fine. Well, we'll see. Same. Haha. Well, let's see. It will tell us the countdown, and it looks like we're tied. /vote 1. Yeah. All choices are fine by me. Well, thank you, Rich. 1. Okay. Interesting. Good enough. Keep chatting. And, alright. We'll give you about, well, till Corey gets back here to figure it out. Since she said 2, 1. Okay, we're going to average out here. Okay. Any rate, we really, yes, we'll even it out. Thank you, Brainiac. We really do appreciate everybody. And, we were thankful we worked for Sierra. We were really thankful that the stars aligned and everything aligned to make Quest for Glory 5, because we really wanted to do it. And then the amazing thing of coming and being able to do Rogue to Redemption, which really was an amazing project, and a lot of different people gave a lot of time and effort and things to make that one happen. So this, I guess. Oh, does it have to be a vote? Yes, you have to have the bang vote or else it won't work. So everybody that just gave the number didn't actually vote because it won't record it. Yes. So the I vote, the bang vote is important part.
All right, let me have the next.
Okay.
All right, I had my last DM, but I think it was only 20 milligrams because that's all I had. My liters, rather, because that's all I had there.
Okay.
All right, and the answer is, do we close the poll?
We was waiting for you to come back.
I'm back. All right, let us stop and see where we are.
Yes.
Notify chat of the win. Keep chatting and play phrase Flummoxer.
Okay.
We can do both at once.
All right, and then Terrible Sauce voted at the last possible moment.
But I don't know if he got in.
He didn't. He got in after the fact.
Reset. Okay, 0 for being done. We haven't bored you guys yet. That's good.
Yes, we're very pleased. We just can't believe. Wow. It's hard to believe. All right, back to the dashboard.
Cancel.
All right.
Tiebreaker.
Okay.
Well, we're going to chat while we play Flummoxer. It's easy.
Oh, yes, that makes it much easier. And we'll just do the phrase Flummoxer the chaos way. I.e. that you'll get to everybody.
Everybody gets to give letters.
Give letters,
regardless of whatever.
And we'll put them in as you give them in order.
Change the color. Is that color okay?
That color is
it's
perfect.
Kind of
it's
a pumpkin pie color.
Thanksgiving fall color.
Okay,
it's the tan M&M color. If you made a little lighter. Yes.
Lava! There we go.
There we have it.
There is our phrase. Everybody start shouting out letters in the chat.
All right, because it needs Q and X.
There's 76
that
letters.
Started with the Q and X.
You got the keyboard.
Oh, you get the keyboard.
I can't get the keyboard.
All right, fine. I'll get the keyboard.
Nope,
Q.
you blanked it out though by moving it.
All right, you're on that Q. And
no Q's.
X.
There's an X.
There is an X. You got a Q and X. Okay.
All right, who was this?
That was Rich Jen.
How far back are we? Oh, there we go. Give me an E.
Give me an E. I got an E.
Give me an RV.
Get your focus back on here. RV.
RV.
RV. Recreational
give me a TH.
vehicle. And TH.
Oh, there are no V's.
There are no V's.
There are no
okay.
V's. LNR.
LNR.
Liquid nitrogen response. I don't know.
Okay.
Oh, he only wanted LN, but that's okay.
That's right.
Beat me with Q, but I'll take Z.
Z.
No Z's.
No Z's.
Where are we? Beat me to the...
Oh, crap. It wasn't supposed to happen. He wasn't supposed to actually get...
Give me an I.
Give me an I. Here's an I.
It was an XD, but we've already determined there are no X. Oh, no, there is an X, so XD.
XD. Okay. XD.
Okay, X turned yellow, which means even though there's an X, there's only one X in the entire message.
Okay, and then an AI. And artificial intelligence.
That is a really difficult word. I don't even know what it is myself, even though I typed it in.
Okay. Let's see. Then we got and
A U.
a Y
Okay.
and an O
And
and
two
then an
rows.
O and an O
All of those are there.
and a U.
I'll bet people can guess the
I
second
guess
word.
so. Yes, and then they got the
Third word is extraordinary.
Okay.
Okay, type in the rest of extraordinary.
Okay.
E,
E
T,
T
A,
A
A,
A
R,
and
Y.
Y. And
You
then,
are correct.
And then how absolutely extraordinary.
All right,
So
put in a W.
we'll put the W.
Put in a BS.
And then the BS, that's what we're full of. BS.
L.
And L.
All right,
Okay.
what's this about? What's the context? Anybody
Yes,
know?
yes, how absolutely extraordinary. Brainiac has a clue. The rest of you. We have more letters to
No, I
find.
do New York Times Wordle almost every day.
Yes.
And I found the other day on Thanksgiving, or maybe the day after Thanksgiving, the word was feast. And I said, I don't think this is a coincidence.
B-U-T-I.
And today I got Wordle in two words.
B. Ah. U. There
I
is
won't spoil it, but
two.
there's another kind of possibly appropriate one.
T
B and T for Blackthorn.
and I. And,
Blackthorn. Oh, bring in the Blackthorn.
Huh?
Blackthorn.
Okay. B. Okay. B is no more B's. And T. And an A. Okay, I got Wordle in two guesses as well. That's interesting. That's quite a coincidence.
All right, switch to full screen.
Switch
Camera.
to full screen
To
camera.
webcam.
Webcam. Okay, yeah. Speaking of Blackthorn.
I found this in our closet from a friend of ours, the origin of the Irish Blackthorn. It's a big, long cloth scroll with a picture of a blackthorn staff.
And a
Golf club? Pipe?
what is that term?
Tapestry?
No, you're supposed to hold it out. The shillelagh. That's a
Shillelagh.
shillelagh. This is a shillelagh.
Irish shillelagh.
The one with the club end is a shillelagh, and this is the blackthorn.
I'm
So now
actually
you know.
I'm actually looking for an artist that is good at Celtic themes for the cover. We're going to re-release with company's name I keep forgetting about my game Tower of Indomitable Circumstance.
Yeah, we're going to do a D&D module, Tower of Doppel.
Yeah, they're actually doing the same thing we did originally with Judges Guild. Is instead of doing D&D or Pathfinder, they're doing a third-party
We're
thing.
not on. They're not on
You
their
get
focus.
it back here, yep.
See, yeah. Okay, people, give us some more interesting letters.
Did you get that A from Molly?
I think I did, but we'll put another one in to make sure. Okay, we're still going here. We
We're-
haven't not finished this thing.
Yeah, we're out of B's. There are no more B's. There's no Q's, no V's. We're out
E
of
and
X's
H.
and no Z's.
All right, the H is there. A
How
G
about a
and a
GP,
P.
General Practitioner?
GP.
Okay, neither G nor P. That's interesting.
But is there a W? There is
Yeah,
a
put in WW because there's
and
WF.
WF.
There are at least 3 W's, but there are no F's
Uh-huh.
whatsoever.
And M and M. Did we run out of M's?
We talked
No,
about- no, have not run out of M's yet.
And a J. There is
There's a J.
A J. And a no.
Oh, how absolutely extraordinary. Now I...
Okay.
I'll bet people can guess the next 2 words. KK.
K. Yeah, we got the KK.
There's a K at the end.
And not trying to
Yeah, no, it's not going to work.
No,
but try
but
it. There might be 2 K's at the end.
K N
Oh.
and O. I think we
We're out of
K'd
Ks.
out. We K'd out.
All out of K's.
We do have an S? Yes. Okay. A T and a Y? Uh-huh.
Because you probably thought the word
okay.
is that, but the word was not that.
Yeah. Interesting. S W Y
D.
D R
think he knows what the phrase is.
I would
Now I
guess
know just what my dreams.
H.
Do, 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 do,
What
do.
dreams
Oh, wait, this got
may
rid.
come. Okay, mean.
Mean.
M-E-A-N.
You got
Okay.
That would be the average.
Okay.
What type of average?
S.
S, arithmetic
Yes. This.
average.
Magic
You've almost
moment.
got it. Anyone got the last 3 words?
Cannabis.
Incubus, maybe.
Okay. Come on, we're getting close.
Cannabis.
Inky cannabis. O-N. On.
Nope. Neither of there's an N still.
Cannabis. Good idea. Yeah.
Inconceivable.
Okay.
It could be.
Could be.
I.
I.
Another I.
Another I.
O.
O.
Nope. Not
No
inconceivable.
O.
Incredible. Try R.
R.
Yes. Try E.
E.
They're getting it.
D.
I.
I. B.
You gotta be-
L.
E.
E.
You got it. It's incredible.
Yes.
It's incredible how a word can be solved. You keep using that word. I do not think it means what you think it means.
All right. How absolutely extraordinary. Now I know just what my dreams mean. This is incredible. Thanks.
And that is, of course, the theme is thanks. So that's why I picked out. I looked for grateful. I couldn't find a good use for grateful, but I wanted to do Quest for Glory 3. And there were 6 occurrences that were, 18 occurrences of the word thanks in the game.
So we are thankful. And we are thankful for you. And we're thankful for all of our opportunities that we've had.
And we have a winner, OSU Brainiac. He
Well,
hasn't won for a while. He could win.
well, sure.
Now,
You guys,
a few months ago, get back in the screen.
are you just gripping the resource files to get these?
Kind of. Okay, so I actually go to a wikia, type in Quest,
Quest.
or Glory, type in Glory.
Glory.
Okay, that takes me to the Quest for Glory Omnipedia, which I guess I should put on my
Yes,
desktop.
there we go.
questforglory.fandom.com/wiki/quest_for_glory_Omnipedia. And
Fine
then,
when everybody loses.
and then I go to the search and type in transcript.
Okay.
Excuse me. And they have done all the work for me. They've taken the transcripts of from our games, and I searched through them. And the weird
That's-
thing about this is because we worked in the games and signed NDAs, we can't have any of this stuff around.
Yeah.
But other people do.
Yes.
They
That's
didn't
one
sign
of
an NDA.
Baggins's projects. Great for Baggins's.
Inconceivable.
Okay.
Unimaginable. Impossible. The irony.
So there we have it. You guys can actually do this anytime you want. Mhm.
So anyway, I was going to say a few months ago we had 2 new winners, and I had them write into support@hero-u.net for the prizes, and they did, and I sent them a follow-up saying here's prizes that are available. I never heard back again, so I think they got lost in spam or something. So if you won a prize months ago and never heard back, better send me another message and remind me, and maybe we can get back in communication, because something went wrong with those emails.
And we're very happy to try to get you another game to play because,
Now, I love the book, The Princess Bride. And that, I was actually going to mention, because it came up in a different context, was by William Goldman. And he wrote 2 books that wasn't Fear and Loathing, Adventures in the Screen Trade. And another one called Which Lie Did I Tell? And those were all about risk avoidance in Hollywood and how the great Hollywood studios are terrified of making a mistake, either spending a lot of money on a film that turns into a bomb, or failing to pick up a film that some other studio makes successful, and that's the reason an awful lot of projects die stillborn.
And it's true of almost every
And so
industry.
that's what's been going on
Certainly the game
with
industry.
Activision. Activision does not want to make a game and fail with it, and they don't want to give the license to someone else will make a game and succeed with it that should have been theirs.
Right.
So therefore, they don't make games at all.
Yep.
So William Goldman, bit of an arrogant guy, but has written some really good things about screenwriting. So he did the screenplay for Butch Cassidy and Sundance Kid. He wrote the book Princess Bride was based on, and then wrote the screenplay.
A ship in the harbor is a safe ship, but that's not what ships are built for. Exactly, yes. I better sterilize that side game box. Yeah, really. Exactly.
Yes, I can send you back a... that's kind of the story of the Seventh Guest, actually. It was the toys that had fillings that had some horrible disease on them, and all the kids that got them got sick and died.
Yeah. For being risk adverse, there's a lot of bad movies. Yes, I know. Isn't it weird?
No, we had many people scream at us because we had the use of adverse spelled that way in Heroes Quest with the Weapon Master. And the word is actually averse in that.
Yes,
adverse is adverse, situation, something that turns out badly. But being averse means not liking it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it also comes down to who's writing these things, and generally it's me and my
use of English vocabulary is occasionally creative.
Yes.
Her use of capitalization is actually very similar to German capitalization, where all the nouns are capitalized. Lori capitalizes all the important words and doesn't worry about whether that's normal grammatical usage.
Correct.
Emphasizes the things she wants emphasized. Emphasized, not empathized.
Okay. More bad movies than good ones come out. That is a problem, yeah.
Well, the problem is that all movies are good and bad. All games are good and bad. There's always stuff that works and stuff that doesn't work. And the question is, do you focus in on the negatives or do you focus on the positives? So you have great fans of Quest for Glory, but most of you realize there's actually some really serious problems with all the games too.
Yeah. Now that you mentioned the Seventh Guest, part of me wants to play that again, and another part of me wants to read the novel again. Oh, yeah.
Well, you don't have to do either. You go to ADV Gamer.
ADV Gamer.
ADV Gamer.
Okay, I don't... ADV Gamer.
That's good. Hit enter.
Enter.
All right, here over at advgamer.blogspot.com is the Adventurers Guild, and they recently went through the Seventh Guest.
There.
So if you go back to the Seventh Guest, you have to go back a little further than that to get to the beginning of the thread.
But they do the whole story?
They did a whole series of walkthrough and discussion of the puzzles and story of the Seventh Guest, and eventually won the game, which I thought I had, but obviously for some of the stuff, I don't think I completed it. I think I got about halfway through.
I think we got it through. I think we did. We got to the ending, and I agree, an abrupt and confusing ending. It was pretty abrupt.
But it was a pretty good game. It was actually really good because I had an AT&T 6300. That was an older 8086 or maybe 286 based machine, and it couldn't actually handle the Seventh Guest. It all ran in slow motion, so you did a turn to the side and this slow scroll around. I thought that was how the game was designed because it was so moody and atmospheric and spooky.
Yeah, and it had a terribly dark monitor, which the screenshots on this page look really dark too.
And they actually complained about that.
Yes, it's very dark, and but it all added to the game. Whether it was a good game or not, can be argued. But what happens in the chapter where you solve the soup cans? Yes, really.
Interestingly, this author of this article, who is not English as a native language, English is not their first language, was able to solve the soup can problem relatively easily.
Wow.
She figured out, I got a lot of Y's there, and so she basically, did a word search and found all the words that used Y as their only vowel, and was able to get that done pretty quickly.
Huh. Back in the early 80s, 90s, 20,000s, I found a QFG fan site where Lori signed the guest back called the Adventures Log one time, and the guy didn't want to get rid of it, so he kept keeping up on all the logs. So he had like Adventures Log, old Adventures Log, really old Adventures Log, really, really old.
It's hard to
Shy Gypsy, slyly, spryly, tryst by my crypt.
Yes. Which doesn't totally
Christ.
make a lot of sense, but...
But it was okay, boy. Yeah, that's quite a phrase there. So for all of you who have this deja vu of remembering how to play this game, yeah. Well, the story states that Julia solves the puzzle and then has the encounter with the spirit in the soup. The novel really helps tie all the visions you see together and adds to the backstory. Oh, okay. Well, that probably gives more meaning to the game. Yes. There was a sequel attempt on Kickstarter, as I recall, that didn't exceed. Yeah, I do think there was something like that. Vaguely, I remember it. So, at any rate, that's...
Yeah, I was just going to say,
Okay.
there's always a huge trade-off between is it a game or is it a story? And what some people think of as a game is chess is a game, bridge is a game, and those don't really have any story to them. Adventure games are kind of bringing it together, and I used to say how adventure games and computer role-playing games are both offshoots of tabletop role-playing. But it's all, it's trying to give you a story that makes sense, as in a film or as an adventure game, but you want the player really to be a part of that story. You don't want them just to be a passive observer. So it's always a trade-off of how much story and how much puzzle you put in there. Because every time you come to a puzzle, it stops the game. It stops the story. 7th Quest board games, someone shared.
Yeah, let's see if we can get back to desktop.
Yep.
There's the board game Kickstarter page.
Is that currently active or old?
It's
Pledged.
pledged.
Okay. But it succeeded.
It succeeded. Did it come out? Any rate, yes. There's the board game.
Please enter.
Uh-huh.
Directed by Rob Landeros. And Graham Devine, was that the other guy's name? I met Graham. He came down to the Sierra offices one day. Interesting, long-haired guy, kind of crazy like many of us. And they were going to do this for Sierra originally, and Ken kind of got cold feet on or whatever. They couldn't come to terms. Or maybe they got cold feet with Sierra, whatever. Something didn't work out.
Oh, well. I have, Arlo Hero says, I have my own adventures log with stamps from all the cities I've worked in it, and accounts of my
This is supposed to come out in
travels.
July 2018, so it's probably out.
Yeah, probably. It's been with me on the route Paul Revere took across the river, the tunnels beneath the world's oldest pyramid, in the savannah with the last remaining hunter-gatherer tribe. Someday I'll leave it to my kids if the imitation leather doesn't fall apart. Damn, that's important stuff.
What was this now?
His own personal adventures journal. You really need to put that on, computer.
I want to put this somewhere where it can be found. I just actually started the other day. Woke up in the middle of the night, was having trouble sleeping because of the stinking cough, and took out this little yellow tablet, which you can make full screen.
I'm going to webcam.
And I said, okay, I was having some family problems recently, and what's the origin of that? I was saying, I don't think I have those files on my computer anymore. And I started just writing about my father's experiences and stories he told me. My father died in 2009, so he's been away from us for a while. But he told me all the stories about growing up in New York City, and he was in World War II, as was my mother. They were both in the Navy. Went to Cooper Union Institute of Technology and told stories of that, and what it was like to basically grow up just after the Depression with no money. And all these things, were formative influences for him that passed on many of them to me. And every once in a while I come up with some things like, his old college yearbook. And I said, this is stories that really should be preserved and should be told. and nobody's written this down. Not very many people know much about my father anymore. People know about us. We have a book we're working on with Jason Michael, spelled Mical. Doesn't sound like a Michael, but it does. And he's writing a definitive book on the Quest for Glory series, and has a lot of autobiographical stuff from us. And of course, every time I mention something in Discord, he decides that has to go in the book, and it keeps blowing up. But could be good. I've got lots of old photos and stuff that I probably should have sent him, but he'll do the best he can with what he has.
Yep.
There's certainly enough public domain resources in the games. So these are stories that, everybody has a story, and a lot of them get lost.
You should publish that too, your father's stories. My grandmother passed on some stories that I've been trying to get my mother to write down too.
It's also a question of which ones should be written down.
One of the oddest classes I had is at a community college in San Jose area, De Anza College. I took a class in public access videos. And one of the things that the instructor, who was also a brilliant animator, and I had taken the classes on animation from him, but he had this public access video class that I took, and he said, you've got to remember that everyone has a story. Everybody's life is a story. And that you can go to anybody, and there's something about their life that is interesting and different from everybody else's. It's part of the universal human experience that we all have these interesting stories that happen in our life.
And to make it an entertaining story, you just have to pick out the good parts.
Right.
So one of the things I've said, people say, I haven't done anything in my life like you guys have, and say, you don't know our lives. You know this little corner of our lives that has the highlight.
Yes.
That says never.
You know the good bits. If you ever read the Princess Bride, the movie was all the good bits.
Yeah, it said this is the good parts version of the 1,000-page long, boring story that never actually existed.
Yes.
So the line that I read somewhere once that stuck with me is, never compare your daily life with someone else's highlight reel.
Yes. And so
we all have highlight reels we could create.
And you all have highlight reels you could create of somebody else's life, too. So if you're ever bored and you have nothing to do, talk to your parents, talk to a friend, ask them about their highlight reel, and you would be surprised how interesting that can be.
We used to have that with, future filmmakers in high school would go around with their Super 8 cameras and go around with just your regular phone, video camera now, and just start documenting somebody else, and ask them about, what was it like to be in Vietnam or World War II or whatever.
During that period of time. What was the most interesting thing that happened in your life? What was the thing you were most thankful for in your life?
Where were you when the Challenger exploded?
Yeah.
Where were you in 9/11?
Yeah, all these things.
And you get some really interesting stories about that might make compelling videos. Right. And could possibly also give you a future career.
And as Schumann says, this is why Facebook depresses people. You're seeing everyone in your feed's highlight reel. Yes, you're seeing everybody at their most beautiful, or they're and they're all accomplished in things. You're not seeing their day-to-day life where they're miserable or on things. And yes,
struggling.
Yes. Especially those replete with selfies, self-videos, etc. Yeah, I mean...
We started struggling around age 50 because, I lost my job because of health reasons and could not get another job. Nobody wanted to pay triple what they would pay a new college graduate to be a little bit better at it. And nobody wanted to pay people remotely at that point, and we were living up in the mountains. So, no chance of getting work and still 15 years away from retirement. And that's part of why we did Hero U. Is we were basically out of money, no prospects, and a fan came to us and said, I'd like to make a game with you, and said, okay, we'll do it. Yeah. And little did we know that would end up putting us deeper in the hole. But
oh, well.
But it was an amazing experience because we have 2 new games that we wouldn't have ever done.
We're very thankful for that.
our lives would have ended with 1998 without that.
Yep. And
Well, I think Jet Set Poker counts too, but it's gone.
it's pretty much gone too. Soon to be 3. Yeah, really. Any rate, we thank you all. We're going to actually close this down at 4:30, before Corey coughs himself to death. Yes, which he most likely succeeds in doing. So thank you all very much.
Oh, but we should tell people our schedule.
Okay.
Our schedule is there is no stream next week. There will be a stream the following week, 2 weeks from
10th?
today, which I think is the 10th, which is Lori's birthday. Lori will be, was it 29 or 39?
Yeah.
Lori will be 29 on
I'll be,
the 10th of
2
December.
weeks younger than he is.
Yeah. My birthday's tomorrow. Hers is in 2 weeks from today, so she's only 13 days younger than me.
All right, fine.
And then we'll skip the 17th, and of course we'll skip Christmas Eve. But we will do, assuming that we're healthy enough for it, we'll do one of our marathon things on New Year's Eve that we like to do.
Yes, so we'll do a
And
long time.
we'll play through one or more of our games or other people's games. Do hours and hours and hours of broadcast on New Year's Eve.
Yes, so if you have nothing better to do and you are bored or you're at home and you want to just,
Will we
sit
start
down.
at the same time? Start 2 p.m. and then
No, we'll see. We'll see. We'll
see.
probably do 6 o'clock to
start in the
midnight.
evening. Okay.
Yeah, that's probably what we'll do. Any rate, I hope you all are well. I hope you all had a happy Thanksgiving and are very thankful for what you do. Better to do than a Transsolar stream. Okay.
Well,
Uh-huh.
can't imagine. Well,
Okay.
we do put these up on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel called Transsolar Game. Called Hero U Rogue to Redemption. Try YouTube.
YouTube.
Why
Okay.
you?
But you don't have it on your
No,
clicks?
that's the wrong keyboard.
That is not a keyboard. That's a pad. YouTube.
It's good enough. Enter.
Okay.
And then we go to.
They can't see it, of course. So
Okay, well, they will.
they will when he gets to it.
This is Hero-U : Rogue to Redemption. Your channel.
And that's our channel.
So the Hero U Rogue to Redemption channel has a whole lot of videos.
So if you missed anything, you can see our Halloween stream from the
And-
last time.
Yep, they're all because they only stay up on Twitch for 2 weeks. So sometime in the course of that 2 weeks, I usually wait a few days, but we always put these streams up on our YouTube channel. They're all there, and in addition, we have playlists for. We have the live streams. We have How to Be a Hero by the book with almost all the chapters, so it ends in a cliffhanger about 3 chapters to the end of the book that we really need to finish. Mage's Initiation, we did a playthrough of Summer Days, Hero U, and Quest for Glory. And so you can see our stuff there. We have 804 subscribers. If you really want to give us birthday presents, just not pushing for them, but if you really want to, you should go to our Patreon.
Oh, yeah.
Hit the
And you
Control
can
C.
Control C?
Yeah. And hit a Control V.
Oh, Control V. That was what you were doing.
Hit an
Okay.
enter.
I shall enter that.
That is our Patreon. And don't worry about it, OSU. We can re-record them. We just haven't gotten around to it.
Yes, our latest, my page, does that
Oh, yeah, we have a free
yeah.
wallpaper on there. It's
Right.
actually posts.
Posts. Okay, where are the posts?
I don't know.
I know, it's...
Corey and Lori Cole, customized page, latest posts.
Latest posts.
But what?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, well that's pinned.
There we go.
Here's our latest post.
You may
has
go
this
get
poster.
that. You can go to that page and get
And
yourself
these are a bunch of characters from the different
That
Summer
is-
Days games. Or is this all for the second
That's
game?
all from Hifeo's game.
There's a Feo, is second from the left. There is Sylvia. Give me the names, everybody.
Okay, now I have to think of it. That's Leah, and that's Shang. That is Mia.
Obviously, you haven't written enough for
I
this
know.
game yet. Start writing more.
Sergey, and
Percival.
Percy,
And
and
Bleeding Red.
Charlotte.
Charlotte Roos.
Yeah.
The lady in the wheelchair, wizard in a wheelchair, is of course reminiscent of the Wicked take on the Wizard of Oz.
But it isn't
there's
anything
a
to
character
do
there.
with it.
Her character is nothing like that personality, but she is a wizard in a wheelchair.
Okay, so
Free. So go visit our Patreon. If you want to continue to support our streams, subscribe to it. Not very expensive. We have I think a $2 and a $10 tier. Somebody suggested I should make bigger ones, but I haven't wanted to
No, we don't want that.
Yeah.
Yes, Charlotte looks. Yes, she has very Carmen Sandiego vibes.
Yep.
She does. Although I've never actually seen a
I've actually played Carmen
Carmen
Sandiego.
Sandiego game. So
I have. I played some Carmen Sandiego.
I did not. So therefore,
Where in the world? I played a little of the Oregon Trail too.
but we definitely went with that look because I thought that was important. So yeah.
Wendell Pins in the Discworld series is a wizard in a wheelchair.
Oh, I didn't remember Wendell being
Nope.
in a
I
wheelchair.
don't remember Wendell.
No, I do remember the name. Okay. All right. Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you all for
We'll
coming,
see you next
and,
time.
we'll see you around here. You'll see us on YouTube, and we'll interact with you on our Discord if you found that Discord link that I sent
Yes,
earlier. So
we
I have to do it again.
yeah, we're always on. Corey always is on Discord, and we have a lot of different chapters. And
All right, Control V.
Control V. That's okay.
That's
and
not it.
That's not it. You didn't get.
All right, Control Z.
Control Z.
Let's try again. Invite people. Copy the link. Maybe that works. I don't know. Paste it. Maybe that's all you need. Okay, well, fine. Just go there and say join.
Yeah. And you can join the penitentiary.
Yeah, the penitentiary is our most important channel there.
Yeah, so you can get your full of puns and weird things. And watch, I make a snake walk using my robotic. Yeah, okay.
What? I was there 3,000 years ago. My future son playing Skyrim Ultra Definitive Edition HD. Me, just run past that frost troll. He'll totally destroy you. Son, how do you know so much about this game? It only just came out. Me, I was there 3,000 years ago.
Yes. So at any rate, thanks a lot. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.
I was watching the documentary. That articles it made. It was jarring.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Be well.
Bye-bye.